So back.
Yes, yes, yes. It is the Castworthy podcast, and we are back. It's Sunday, April 30th, 10:57 a.m. Although we've been sitting here since about 9:30 a.m. awaiting the arrival of
Lies.
none
Lies.
other than the one, the
Lies.
only,
Lies. Stop it.
the golden child here who had to get his beauty rest. EJ the Savage. He has joined us, ladies and gentlemen. We thought we were getting a no call, no show, the monthly no call, no show, but he's here. VP is here, and I am here. Big Steve, aka Last of a Dying Breed, on the Twitter machine. It is the Castworthy Podcast. You can find us on all of your streaming platforms. You can find us on all of your social media platforms. Type in cast space worthy, CAST space WRTHY. If you Google us, it'll also come up. We're a thing.
I'm
Uh,
glad. I'm glad the world knows that you're full of shit.
Nobody knows. Nobody knows what's untrue. No one knows what's untrue.
How do I know?
Hey, listen. Don't poke the bear.
True.
Big
Don't
facts.
poke. Don't poke the bear.
Big facts.
It's a Nick Sunday, Nick Day for you. No
Nah.
Embiid. You got to be feeling good about that. Wait, no,
It's not a Nick Sunday.
we're not starting with the Knicks today.
No, I mean, we can't be calling it a Nick Sunday as if we're not in the building.
Oh, Knicks
know?
Heat. I'm sorry, I said no Embiid. Look at me. Here, I thought they were going to actually have a rivalry game, and it's just the Heat.
This guy.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody in the world is like, the Knicks rivalry is renewed. Steve's like, it's not a rivalry. You said it's a classic rivalry. So what other rivalry does
it's for sale? It's called marketing. It's called marketing.
No, you're just a jerk.
I know. I know y'all social workers don't know about marketing. Y'all don't gotta market nothing. Y'all just trying to save lives out there.
No, we
and we appreciate you for that.
We market ourselves. We sell our bodies.
I bet. I bet to children's moms. You want this extra? You want this extra 300? Nasty, coming off a Saturday night of wedding couples.
Price of the brick going up.
The wedding was last week, buddy.
I bet. All right. Yeah, man. So it's Sunday of hymns. We're gonna talk about some hymns today. Jimmy Himmy Butler. We'll talk about some Knicks guys.
My God,
Mr. Brunson, LeBron James. A few of the hymns out there, man. But anyway, how you guys doing? Anything new since I've seen you 2 weeks ago? It's been 2 long weeks.
How was your trip, buddy? Huh?
It was great. It was great.
I tell you what, man, that picture you posted of that crab broil, man.
Yeah, that shit was fire.
that shit was mouth watering, yo.
I think my blood pressure is still recouping from that from that boil. Forget the rest of the trip. That one meal, my blood pressure is still working on coming down.
Damn, that shit was
good. Boy. Modern medicine. That shit was fire, yo. That shit fire. I love New Orleans, man. I love it. I mean, I'm a music person. I love music. I love like real music. I love the sound of music being played on instruments, you know. And you just walk down the street. And this time around, you know, being a little more aware because it was my second time there, we took some different routes and stuff. And there I was at one point we took like a back alley to get to Bourbon, and there was like a whole fucking band out there. There was a dude on the street with a piano. Like you said. So there was a piano, there was a dude beating the banjo, the drums, acoustic guitar, trombone, tuba, like a little bit of, it was like a whole damn orchestra with that motherfucker. Dancing with little white kids and shit. Like it's dope, man. I like New Orleans. I actually really, really like it there. And like I was telling a lot of people, the natives are similar to like the islands, where they know that tourism is their key to survival. And so they're very pleasant. Like you would think, it might be a little bit different because of what you see on TV and how people speak about it. But nah, it was pretty dope, man. And the food is amazing. Food is amazing.
Yeah.
So well worth it. I plan on making it like I want to try and make it like a quarterly, semi-annual trip, something like that. Like it's fire.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you went at the
Me
best
me
time before hurricane season.
That's right. That's
hmm
right. And it wasn't super hot, so it didn't smell like shit. And usually in that city, like as soon as you walk out of the airport, it smells like shit. Like New Orleans is dirty, don't get me wrong, because they try to keep that old, historic look and feel, and it has it, you know what I mean? But it stinks. Like it stinks. um
mm,
Not like garbage, not like, Manhattan in the hot summer when you're walking, like, damn, it's like, you know, spoiled milk. It's not like that, but it's it smells like dirty water, of course, because the Mississippi River is right there and stuff. So but either you get past it. Like it takes 5 minutes, your senses adjust and you're good to go from there.
yeah.
It's an amazing place, man. I love it.
Yeah, that's the thing that's good about like when you go to a place like you've been there multiple times. Like that first time, it kind of you really do feel like a tourist. But like once you've
Mhm.
been there, once or twice, you kind of know the lay of the land. Like okay, this is where all the tourists go. Let me, I told you about when we went to the Bahamas that one time. We had already been there like twice, and so we saw this old lady walking. We're like, hey, like where can we get some food? And she was like, oh, it's right over there. You see? I was like, no, no, no. That's where all the tourists go. Where you eat at? She was like, oh, should I go like 2 blocks up here, make a left, and then go another block and make a right. You go see this spot called blah blah blah. They gonna take care of you. He was like, all right, bet. We went there,
Yeah,
and it was nobody there except us and these two white dudes, and the food was amazing. Service was great. So
And
that's
you
the
didn't get
crazy
mugged.
thing. The Bahamas
yeah.
is one of the most safest places in the world, though. Like
Mm,
they don't have crime like damn near at all. Like because the island is so small, so it's like, what are you gonna do? Like
yeah.
Careful.
everybody knows
You about
everybody.
Yep.
you about to get Vari going on the reason why.
No, no, no.
Now
No,
that
they don't have gun violence. They don't. They even when they have had murders over the years, it's been like knife fights and somebody's some crazy
Yeah.
shit like that. But yeah, I mean they're just happy people.
hmm
happy people. Yeah, man. It's so you went out of town last week, didn't you? Where were you? You didn't even
I
tell us.
I just went an hour and a half to Jersey for a wedding. That was all. Came
Oh, was
right
that
back.
what that's what those amazing pictures you posted yesterday?
Yeah, I mean I was a week late because I didn't have the pictures, but
What else is new? Got him. we're gonna
okay,
change it.
Steve,
We're
black
gonna change
man.
we're gonna change your name to pregnancy. That's gonna be a new name. You always late. Um
Wow. I learned from the best, my boy.
Yeah. What about you, VP? I know you had a stressful week, but other than that, I see, you're in the new place. Seems like you're settled in. The lighting
Yeah.
is getting better every week.
Yeah. For me this week, man, like we talked pre-production. So my wife got out of the hospital, so definitely glad on that. More to watch the space on that situation, I guess.
Mm.
But yeah, but just happy she's home. Um, and
So
yeah,
TJ,
just that, man. He's
TJ bowling
good.
shit.
Bowling, still driving. He's
He's
he's out
driving?
there. Yeah, he got his license. He's
Oh
not
my
he don't drive on
god.
his own yet. He still, goes out with his aunt and practices and stuff. But he's graduated to the highway now. Um,
Once he
you
get
know,
that first sniff of some buns, he gonna be like, I don't need no more drivers with me.
like I think we already there because because since my wife got the situation going on with her vision right now,
Now we potting.
we gave my sister-in-law the car to like run errands for us and stuff like that. And now TJ's like, I think we can get the car back. I think I'm ready. I'm like,
hmm Yeah, I've been in that bowling alley long enough and grew up in some bowling. I know when you're a good bowler, sometimes they gravitate to you. A little something. Sometimes they
Wow.
gravitate to you. Sometimes you pop it. Never mind. Um, yeah, man. So good, good. I'm glad that glad you guys are doing well after our little week's hiatus. Um, but yeah, so NBA playoffs. Let's get right to it. I'll let you guys start. You got your historic rivalry of the Knicks and the Heat, one for the ages, one for the books that no one will ever forget about. Go ahead, guys. I'll let you have it.
I mean, Steven, because I'm gonna call you Steven here. Steven, if the
with
Knicks
a
Heat,
PH.
if the Knicks Heat isn't
That's
a
Stefan.
classic rivalry, then what is? What is? When you're talking about
Yankees,
those two
Red Sox.
teams, we're talking
Yankees, Red
about
Sox.
basketball, sir. We're talking about basketball, NBA basketball. When you look at the NBA and the history of the NBA, those two
Lakers,
teams,
Celtics.
that's a classic rivalry for the Lakers and
Mhm.
the Celtics. What is, if at all, if unless you're saying the Knicks and the Heat
Knicks and the
don't?
Bulls.
No, I mean that's one of them, yes. But the Knicks and the Heat is a classic rivalry.
Okay. Who you got?
You know I got to go with my team.
All
These
right.
guys
Tell
shouldn't
me.
even be here.
All right. So tell me what's the keys to the series? We saw. Well, before we get to it, let me drive it because you're gonna take us down this road of pettiness. So we saw that they're calling him J. Him Brunson. J. M. Brunson was able to carry the Knicks in the first round because your boy, well, I know you don't even really
Julius,
fuck with him, but Julius is hurt.
I like him.
Um, and he had some issues with the coach. I think there was a time where he got sat down in
Hmm.
the fourth
He didn't
quarter
play in the fourth quarter yet.
where you guys were winning,
Hmm.
and then he didn't show up for the post game after that. Like it was just a little rough there. So it doesn't seem like it's all flowers in New York right now. But it never is. It never should be when you're talking about the Knicks or you're talking about Madison Square Garden. You're talking about New York, where the greatest of greats are born. As far as hip hop goes, as far as pizza goes, big games like in Madison Square Garden, shit like that. So Jalen Brunson carried you guys through, and then we saw Hemi Butler down in Miami, who just possessed, possessed. Like he channeled Kobe, like to me, in that series. He looked like something that we've never seen before in a guy who was just playing, out of his mind on both sides of the ball. He was shooting it from deep. He was going to the hole. He was playing defense. He was making passes. Like this guy, he was just possessed. I don't know that he can continue that level of play. Um, and I think it's going to be a challenge now that you guys lost Tyler Hero. So I think this series is going to be a real good series, and I think it's going to be interesting to see who's going to make the move here. But I'll ask you guys to start with who you think the difference maker for each of your teams are going to be for this series.
For us, the Knicks, I think, are a better team, depth wise and talent wise. The problem is the youth and what kind of team is going to show up. If our young guys don't deliver and hit the shots and do what they're supposed to do, then we're gonna have a long series. And Tom Thibodeau, is a far less uh Eric Spoelstra rather is just a far superior coach than Tom Thibodeau is, in my opinion.
Flip
So
that. Flip that.
I mean, I've never been a fan of Tom Thibodeau. So I mean, I think he's
Yeah, he
just
doesn't
gotten,
even consider him a coach. He thinks
yeah.
he think he just is standing there.
I
Like
do. I think he's just gotten by, because that year that we had, where we played the Hawks and he won coach of the year, we go play Atlanta. He gets out coached every second of the minute. And, because he won coach of the year, that bought him another 2 seasons. This guy throughout the year struggled with rotations and different things. And at some point he changed his philosophy and started doing something different, so it made the ultimate difference of our season. I don't know that going into this Heat game, he's going to continue to stick with what got us there. And then I think he's going to try to get cute. So, what most Knicks fans that don't like Julius Randle are saying, because he's injured, it now forces Thibodeau to be a better coach. So, we'll see. But it all depends on what team shows up. I think we have the better team. But if we don't show up, Hemi Butler.
I mean, for the Heat, man, I don't necessarily even think that the key to victory is Jimmy, because he's gonna get his right. The key is who's the next guy, right? Is it going to be a Bam sighting, a Duncan Robinson sighting, Gabe Vincent, whoever, because to Steve's earlier point, there's no Tyler Hero, so you need somebody to fill that void. And a lot of times, these guys, especially the ones who aren't like just prolific scorers, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, they go out and get you a game, and it's like, oh man, Duncan Robinson looked so nice. He was definitely the key to them winning that game. But those guys normally don't do that on a night by night basis. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And so I think that we need to make sure somebody else shows up. And to
And no
me, I think
Oladipo. You guys lost Oladipo too. Now that I'm
right,
thinking about it.
right. And I think that the person who needs to be that for us is Bam, right? And I've consistently been saying, Bam disappears too often in series, especially when he plays against legit big men like a Giannis, like a Brook Lopez, like an Embiid. But in this series, he gets to play somebody who's a non-traditional big man, somebody who plays in the style of himself. And I think that he should be able to rise up and be, his old self. Granted, he is dealing with a hamstring issue. So hopefully the 3-4 days rest will help with that. It should help with that. But I think we need Bam to show up. Jimmy shouldn't have to average 37 points a night uh to win this series. If we get a good, high 20s from Jimmy, and Bam can give us like, 22 and 12, and then everybody else just, sprinkle in whatever they do, I think we should be okay for the series.
I don't think it's one or two. I think it's three on both teams. I think you already kind of outlined the one and two. We know it's going to be Jimmy and hopefully Bam, right? You hope that Bam is going to show up, but I think it's going to be that third piece on the Miami side. And I feel the same way about the Knicks. Like for me on the Knicks, I think Mitchell Robinson is going to be a huge. He's going to play a huge role because you got an injured. I don't know why I can't remember this guy's name today at all,
Julius
but
Randle.
Julius Randle. Hartenstein's going to play a big role on that side, like coming off the bench. You're going to need him to because he's a hustler. But I think on the Heat side, you're going to have to get past Bam and Jimmy, and you're going to need someone each game. Like you'll need a Highsmith to have like a 16-point game. You'll need Gabe Vincent to come out and make some plays on defense, and also make some big shots. Like these are going to be some of the difference makers because and Duncan Robinson, you guys paid him a hell of a lot of money. Struess is going to be a big one. You're going to need him to be able to knock down shots when Jimmy penetrates, pause, and kicks it to kicks it out. So I think it's going to be a good series. Does it starts in New York, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, you
New
got the
York
Is
City.
first
you
two
guys are the
games.
highest seed? Okay.
Hmm.
So I'm assuming you both are picking your teams. EJ, how many games does it go?
5.
VP?
Fucking disrespectful, God damn.
EJ got Knicks in 5. VP, you got
Wow, I had the Heat in 6.
Heat in 6. Okay.
I mean,
I've
let's be fair. The Heat aren't even supposed to be here, so
What do you mean they're here?
I
When
gotta,
you
I
say they're
gotta
not
talk,
supposed to be here?
I gotta talk my shit. I gotta talk my shit.
Oh, go ahead.
I got the Knicks. I got the Knicks in 7. Do I have a gentleman's bet between you two?
Did we? What were the bets that we made? Was that for football?
I
That
think
was for, yeah, for
you guys
football.
made a lot of football bets, but
Mhm.
if you guys are confident in your teams,
I don't bet on the Knicks, but
yeah, I can see that. I wouldn't bet on them either. This is a tough one. I got them in 7, but I'm not putting money on it. Like,
Mhm. Like I
I
said,
think
man, I don't trust Tom Thibodeau as a coach. I mean, I've been
I
consistent
meant
with
to
that.
address that. Eric Spoelstra's a bum. He's not a good
Eric
coach.
Spoelstra is a far superior coach than Tom Thibodeau is, and that is always for me until we have a coach that I feel confident can make these guys situationally aware of what's going on. Like Jalen Brunson has done a lot of that on the floor for us, but it's just like I just don't trust our coach, man, and
I think the
unfortunately
only coach that you're ever gonna like is gonna be Mark Jackson. Like
for the
until you
Knicks,
guys get Mark Jackson, you're gonna be like, I
for
hate
the
him.
Knicks. Yeah, yeah. I
he
mean,
liked
somewhat. So yeah.
he liked Pat
What if
Riley.
what if you guys win chip this year? Is Thibodeau still a bad coach?
If we win the chip this year, I mean, what can I say? What can anybody say? I still call that motherfucker bad coach.
Okay. All right.
still
I
got to
mean,
be consistent.
sometimes teams win in spite of the coach, right? Because I mean, the Cavs won when they had the Russian dude.
The
You know
Heat.
what I mean? Like
The
I don't
Heat.
think that was the coach.
The Heat won what, 3-2,
Oh my god.
despite of their coach. I mean, you
Exactly.
always raved about the assistants. We got the best assistants, and they never get any interviews. That tells me that there's other people. Listen, Eric Spoelstra's a great numbers guy. He knows how to work with Excel. He is good. He watches video. He's a good video guy. He's just not a good coach,
Disrespect.
man. He's got other guys making those decisions.
Okay.
Disrespect.
Players. So in the East, we'll stay there for a second. You got Philly and Boston who are going to be playing. Embiid is injured, likely to miss the first two games.
Hmm.
Wow.
And James Harden, he just smacked somebody in a fucking in a hotel in Vegas. So I don't know what comes from that. Like, does he end up getting suspended? Like Philly might be out of it before it even starts. If that gets any headway.
I mean, without Embiid, I can't really put much faith in Philly. In the regular season, you can get away without Embiid because maybe you go on the road and you play the Pelicans, and then you play the Atlanta or something like that. Then Embiid comes back, so you can win some games. But like in a series like this, playing against Boston, like nah, I don't think they can win without Embiid. And now with Harden, man, it just kind of you hear about, like, remember the whole thing with like LeBron. They say, oh, when the playoffs start, he cuts off social media. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Except for that rap thing he did, but still, you know, um,
Rap thing.
or
You
that
mean
poem
Jay
or
Z
whatever that shit
lyrics?
was. I
Jay
don't
Z
know. Okay,
lyrics. Damn it, have some
okay,
fucking
I didn't know that.
respect. That
But
rap thing.
but uh, but yeah, but I mean, what the fuck you doing in Vegas? Like,
Bro.
it's not like
It must have been for the fight. He had to be there for the fight.
it's not like Philly is like an hour away from Vegas. So he's like, oh, let me just Vegas real quick. You know,
We
like
go to
you know what
Atlantic
I'm saying?
City real quick,
Like if you play in Philly and like something's happening in NYC, like I'm gonna pop over there real quick, but I'm going back home because it's playoffs. Like the fuck you doing in Philly? I mean in Vegas. You know what I'm
Caught that
saying?
flight, man. Caught that flight, and but I mean James Harden. We've said this. I mean, this dude lives in a strip club.
Yeah.
Just he don't want to be great. And when you look at what's going on with Philly, Embiid's untimely injury, this guy Harden just looks like he's kind of gotten a little bigger, pause, and out of shape, and he doesn't have the same step that he seemingly used to have. And so
Mhm.
now this is a time where you would like for him to carry the team, him and the young kid Maxi, and then maybe a Tobias Harris sighting. But this guy, we don't know who he's going to be, and this could yet again be another time where Embiid and Harden don't advance. Because Boston, while they're a good team, they've been choke artists all year, and you
Mhm.
never know what Tatum you're gonna get. You never know
Yeah,
what
but
they're
you
gonna
always
do.
gonna get that killer in Jalen Brown.
You're gonna get
Jalen Brown
Jalen
is
Brown.
Jalen Brown is the star of that team, man.
You're gonna get
Tatum only
Jalen
gets
Brown.
it because of colorism, but Jalen Brown is the better player to me.
Yeah, and I
Even though
mean
I'm
this
team light skin, you know that. But
this
I
should be
fucks with
this
Jalen
should be
Brown.
a series where Philly, should win. But all of these intangibles happening, could this yet again be another time where this coach and these guys fail?
I don't have Philly winning this in any way. I don't even think if Embiid's healthy, they win this series. These guys in Boston, this team in Boston, not these guys. This team in Boston is built to last. Like it's built for tough, if you will. They got Marcus Smart. They got Danny White. Danny White, yeah, kid with the receding hairline that they made fun of.
Yeah, white.
Or Devin White. But anyway, he's a beast. Well, he's been playing well. Let me not use the B word. He's a good player who's got playoff experience when he was with, the Spurs. He played under some really good coaches. He's good. Then you got uh Jalen Brown, of course. You got Jason Tatum, Robert Williams at the center, who's playing big. You got Horford, who's a stone cold veteran. Like this team is so deep. There is no way that a Philly team should be able to beat them because they don't have the youth that you talk about the Knicks having. Like the Knicks have that youth. They have guys that can come off the bench that can make plays. Hartenstein quickly. Like you got guys. Now, granted, these aren't stone cold killers, but they're good enough to make the bench points that you need to win a series and win a good game. Same thing I think with the Heat, except for the Heat's guys are now starting because you got so many injuries. So I feel like Boston is probably the deepest team left in the East. And I really don't see any route to victory for Philly, unfortunately, in the series. And I think Boston's going to get this in 5 easily.
So I hear what you're saying with Boston, and with no Embiid, I agree with you. But if Embiid was like able to play, like not injured, I don't think Boston wins that series. Like that Boston team to me is overrated. Like we took
I
them
agree.
7 games last year with Jimmy Butler, a disappearing Bam, and a bunch of undrafted guys. You know what I mean? And
Last year,
and yeah, and
they
so
didn't
and
have
it's
Brogdon last year. There
right, but I
was,
mean that team is almost still the same
It's the
as it
same.
was constructed last year. A piece here, piece there, but that team is not that good. And part of the problem is, to your point that you made about Jalen Brown and Jason Tatum, is that Jason Tatum is one of the most overrated superstars in the league. He's not a superstar. He's a good guy. He's a good player. I don't even know if I want to call him a star because the dude just disappears. He's hot and cold. He's on and off.
EJ, go ahead. Not
I,
even a star. Like I'm with you on maybe not the superstar, and I still have a problem with that. But the star, he's a star. Come on, get
he
the fuck out of
definitely
here.
disappears. I mean, he's a
He's a
star.
star.
He's a star because he's a marketable player, and the
Okay,
league likes him, and he's a
so
star.
if
But
if, if we're gonna call him a
Does he
star,
play to the star level caliber? Is he that killer? No. I mean, he has the potential. He has those games, but he's very inconsistent. And that team is very inconsistent.
I'm gonna do some research
They
because VP
struggle with
don't do
they just
shit.
struggled to get through get to this round. They just struggled. They let the Hawks make it a little interesting when they could have knocked these guys out of competition, and they didn't.
I think
So
they won in
I
6,
don't
right?
know. Yeah, they won in 6. They could have won in less. They could have
Anybody could
closed
have
them
won
out at
in
home.
less, but I mean, you know,
Nah.
it's the playoffs. It's the playoffs. It's not like the Hawks have a slouchy team. They have a good team of players that aren't showing up. John Collins last year, we were saying was the next big power forward, and this guy's just not showing up. So when he does show up, he's a difference maker. Same thing with Clint Capella. Same thing with Dejounte Murray. Same thing, obviously Trey Ice Cold. Like they're not a slouch. Like Atlanta's not a
Nah, but that
slouch.
team has been in disarray, and what I'm saying is Boston couldn't get it done at home. Like that's like when you're talking about the caliber of player that you need to beat a fully healthy Philly team, you got to be able to close those guys out and do what you got to do. And I don't have much faith in that Boston team, but we're not seeing a healthy Philly, so that's gonna be all the more reason why they should do what they need to do.
Mhm.
maybe for Tatum, we consider him like a Brown Dorth, you know,
Who?
I
just
don't
under
get it.
that threshold to become a star. You know, he
He's a star. He's a star. Jason Tatum is a star. He is a top 15 player in the league. Easily. Easily top 15. And
No
it's
question.
it's it's not even close. And he might sneak into the top 10 if you really think about it. The only
no
thing that kind of throws
stop
me off there is,
stop.
you know, you start to get into your favorites and stuff. But I will say, to me personally, I feel like if you took Tatum and you pull him out of the mix for 10 games, and then you take Jalen Brown and you pull him out of the mix for 10 games, you win more games with Jalen Brown in that same situation playing against those same teams. So to me, I think Jalen Brown is personally the better player of the two. It's just Jason Tatum has the media behind him,
Right.
in my opinion.
I can see
You
that.
know.
I can see that. What about the West? Where we at?
Um Real quick before we get
Well, who do
there,
you
I think
have? Who you
Jason
got? You
Jason
got
Tatum went averaged 30 and 8. 38 and 4.
who
He's a
you got?
star.
Who you got for that series?
Um for which series? So we got the
Boston,
Lakers.
Boston,
Oh,
Boston,
Boston.
and Philly. Who you got?
I got Boston. Boston in 5.
I got
Six.
Boston in 5 as well.
I'll give him 6 if Embiid comes back. Maybe 7, but I got Boston 5 today.
Yeah.
I'll take the same.
Um, yeah, I think the only way I think Philly has any chance, like you said, EJ, the biggest piece is Tobias Harris. Like you're gonna get your Maxi, you're gonna get your Harden, who's gonna assist. Harden's gonna have to score though. That's the thing. Like he's gone into this, I'm gonna assist, I'm gonna go 4 and 16
He's gonna have
bullshit.
to be
And
Houston Harden.
yeah, and that doesn't work. He's gonna have to put up 20, 25 a game, especially if Embiid is out. And if Embiid is out, he's gonna have to put up 30. Like otherwise they're gonna get smoked.
Right. But
Smoked.
then I think also you have to factor in Jason Tatum. Does he show up? You know what I mean? Because Jason Tatum have a night where he gives you 14.
But I think even if Jason Tatum, the difference is if Jason Tatum doesn't show up, you still have Jaylen Brown, who is gonna show up. Like Jaylen Brown is probably the most consistent, and to your point, probably the most underrated star to me in the league. I think it's because he's in the shadow of Tatum. Like I feel like it's the same way, similarly, right, to when LeBron first went to the Heat, right? And people were like, yo, he doesn't have a ring. He's going to the Heat. Wade is still the guy. Like, that's what I feel like. And then we saw over time, as much shit as we talk, LeBron was the guy in Miami. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It's just, well, you can't say yeah because you always said that because, you love LeBron.
Well,
But I
no,
mean,
it's
as
just
much shit
that.
as EJ and I talk, we can admit that LeBron was the guy. But I think that first year, especially when they struggled and then they lost, of course, Bron was kind of in the shadow of Wade, so people went into that second season like, "Yo, Wade is the guy," and I don't feel like that was the the
Well,
situation.
Dwayne Wade even said that LeBron was too timid, and he had to tell LeBron, "Hey, my guy, you're the guy.
Right,
Like,
man
what are
up.
you doing?" Yeah.
That's
So
that's exactly what I was getting ready to say. Is that Wade talked to him and was like, "Yo, like, because it seems like Braun went in thinking like, yo, this is his team, so I'm gonna defer, et cetera, et cetera." And Wade's like, "Yo, you're the guy, so you know." So Wade basically deferred. I'm robbing you, Batman. Like, let's get it. And then
Yeah,
LeBron was able to kind of, be his, full self down there. And
sort
as
of
far
like
as his,
LeBron is doing for AD right now,
wait a minute.
handing it off. AD
Oh yeah,
don't
I mean,
know that. I don't think
but
AD
LeBron is
knows
like
that that's
60
his
years
team.
old, so he
No,
has
no,
to
I'm
do
just
that.
saying, but I don't think AD. No, I'm not giving LeBron shit for it. I'm
No,
saying
I
I don't
know.
think AD realizes that that's his team today. I think he's still kind of starstruck by LeBron,
Yeah,
in my opinion.
yeah.
But
LeBron's
I
like, yo, I'm gonna, this is your team. I'm gonna defer. If maybe one day you need me to get you 30, I'll do that. But I'm I'm gonna be Robin here.
I
I'm
think
40.
we got EJ's burner in the comments. Def- definitely
my man
definitely
Chris,
EJ's burner.
that's
Nick
my guy
fans.
Chris. He often supports the pod, man. Shout out to Chris.
Shout out to
Shout out to
Chris.
Chris.
Appreciate you. He's
Knicks
wrong, but
fans are in full
appreciate him.
full force today, man. I wish I might have to go find my little Knicks hat and represent for a minute. Let's move west. We got the Lakers. Before we get into the current state of the West, Dylan Brooks. Dylan Brooks gotta go sit down somewhere.
Got to.
Dylan Brooks gotta go sit. First of all, and I think I said it on a previous pod. You can't talk like that. I'm gonna get us canceled. You can't talk like that when you go lay down with a woman who
Oh,
was
I
born
thought he
in
was going
Miami.
somewhere else.
Like you can't do that. You can't do that. I'm sorry. I'm
Did
sorry.
not think he was going there.
I'm sorry. You can't do
Wow.
that when you're averaging 13 points a game. You can't call out one of the greatest players of all time, top 3 to 5 guy of all time,
Yo.
top 2 in Vari's, probably not 2. In Vari's opinion, but you can't call this guy out at 37, 38, 39, however, whatever his age is today,
38.
and then not show up. Like at least show up. You know what I'm saying? And then you got to stand in it. You got to stand in it. You lose, he comes out, he puts work to you, which really, realistically, if we look at it, Braun played a part, but he didn't go ham. You know what I'm saying? Like
Now,
he went
Bron
20
been
and 20
cooking
that
them,
one
bro.
game. He went 20
Bron
and
been
20 that
cooking.
one game, but that last game he didn't do it. He didn't do it the last game. That was everybody else. That was Reeves. That was AD decided to show up and stop playing soft. Like, but you can't talk to this man, one of the greatest, 100% top three guy of all time, and then go disappear when it's time for you to stand in it. Like the media says, "Hey, where's Dylan Brooks? Oh, I'm out." You can't do that. You can't take your
No,
L
no,
and bow out gracefully.
right. I mean, it was and it's easy to like kick the dude when he's down. Y'all win. You talking all y'all. I don't respect nobody unless they do bloop bloop bloop. You know what I mean? And when you don't back it up, you look like shit, and then you look like a bitch for not talking to the media afterwards because it looks like your feelings hurt. You mad? Somebody gonna ask you questions like, "Should you have poked LeBron? Should you have done?" You know what I mean? Like to your point, like stand in that shit. You said it, own it, stand in it. Fuck, hey, he got me this time. Next season, we gonna be better. I'm gonna take the off season and get better, do my thing, da da da. But at the end of the day, good luck to them and move on. But to kind of just cower like a little bitch is that shows you who he really is.
Classic example of these young punks need to be silenced. LeBron was like, "All right, you little young punk, I'm gonna show you what it is," and that was exactly what needed to be, happen. I mean, to some degree, the you could appreciate the tone that he had. Like, you know what, I'm not afraid of the greats. Let's get it. So it's a playoff game here, but then you start talking crazy, like you don't respect this guy. All right, don't respect him. We'll show up and get it done. And they blew it. They blew it. I think the
Right.
other thing too with Memphis for me though is I think that shout out to Steve with the classic Ewings. I think that Memphis is better without John Morant.
Knicks tape,
I
baby.
agree.
I couldn't find my hat, so
I
I'm
agree.
gonna go with the
I
next best
I
thing.
I just think that the Memphis Grizzlies play better without John Morant.
I agree.
I wouldn't go that far. I
I,
wouldn't go
I
that
In,
just
far.
thi-
think they
in
play
this
better
in this
team ball.
series, they did.
In this series, yes, but
And
but to make the overall
Even
just
even when he would remember that stretch of
no.
games, he was out 20 games. They won like the majority of those
Yes,
games.
yes,
And
yes.
not to mention all of the drama that he's had and all of the nonsense that he had going on. They played just as fine without him. The game that he sat out this series, they played a better form of team basketball. They did.
Tyus Jones is a really, really, really good point guard in the league. And John Morant is selfish. That's my take. John Morant is selfish. You couldn't dribble with your right hand. You couldn't dribble with your right hand. You shouldn't have been in there. You should not have been. And if you suit up, then you got to take all the accountability that comes with it.
And
When
that's
they
what I'm
say that
saying.
when they say the lights are too big and you didn't show up, I don't want to hear people saying, "Oh, well, he played with one hand." Well, he played with one hand.
right.
He made the
Yo,
decision to play with one hand.
and I agree with you. And look at, there was a point in the game, right? When they're
But I wouldn't say
playing.
a healthy. I wouldn't say a healthy. I'll give it to you in a sec. I wouldn't say a healthy Ja isn't a better team for a better player with Memphis. Make that team better than without him. Healthy.
I just don't think his game fits that team. I don't think he's learned how to play with a team. This guy is in the game. It's a tough game. It's going back and forth. It's down to the wire. This dude tries to leap over LeBron James, blows the whole drive, just does bonehead things. He just doesn't play his position well. He doesn't make everyone else around him better. It's the same criticism that people try to give Russell Westbrook, which I think and I've always said is unfair. Russell Westbrook to me makes his guys around him play better. He plays hard, he does his thing. But John Morant, to your point, I think he just tries to get his and he's just focused on being the guy. He doesn't have
Mhm.
anybody to tell him, like, hey, post up here, do this, do that, get them involved. He just plays and it's like it doesn't work. He looks great making a great highlight. He makes a great highlight. He does all of those things, but he doesn't do what he needs to do to get it done for the team.
And I think to EJ's point is like when Ja's not on the court, the Memphis Grizzlies are kind of like they're kind of like Detroit Pistons from the mid aughts, right? That Rasheed Wallace, Ben Wallace, and Rip
Mm,
Hamilton, Chauncey.
I see what you're
They're
saying.
just a well-rounded team where
Mhm.
everybody's doing their part. You know, the ball is being passed. Like EJ literally said, they play better team basketball. Then when Ja comes on the court, it's almost like, ISO, 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 ISO. Okay, I'll pass it this one time. ISO, 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 ISO. I'll pass it one more time. You know what I mean? And so I think that's the point that EJ's making.
He's so I'm gonna shoot him the bail that you guys shot him when he was running around here with guns and strippers. He's young. He's young and he has to grow into his superstardom in that sense. Like he tried to jump over LeBron. Like, what are you doing? For what? He didn't do that because he thought he could score. He didn't do that because it was the best basketball play. He did that because he felt like we get this on Twitter, I'll get this on Instagram. Like people are gonna be like, yo, he jumped over LeBron James. Like, and so I think he's immature in that sense, in that light. But he's a great player. He's an absolute great player. He does make his team better when he's playing team ball. When they're winning, when they're close in the game, things like that. They also miss some big guys. Like I feel like Steven Adams is the guy that keeps Ja grounded. And while he might have been on the sideline, it's not the same as him being in the game. That's a huge, huge loss for them. I think that series goes completely different if you have Adams playing in that game.
Well,
Or in that
to be
series.
completely honest, we didn't shoot him bail. We shooting his father bail. But um, I mean, I hear you. I just the evidence shows that even I know it's the regular season, but again, when this guy is out, this team rises to the occasion. The sole game that they got in this series, or not the sole game, but they played without him and they played great. I mean, he just doesn't seem like he fits. And I think you're right. I think he needs a veteran presence to kind of tell him, you have to do more with your game. You
Mhm.
just have to. Have to.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think they need, and I don't know who the vet is. Like, I don't want them. I don't think they need a superstar vet. They need a guy like a Horford. You know what I mean? Who's Horford's not a killer. He's not gonna smack John Moran around, but he's gonna be, he's gonna tell him what it is and what he needs to do, and he's gonna be assertive, right? Assertive without, and he's not a thug. Like Al Horford's not a thug, even though he talks shit sometimes. Like that's the kind of guy they need. They don't need another superstar. They got Desmond Bain, who is an up and coming star, and the kid looks like he's absolute monster. Jaren Jackson, if he ever realizes that he should not be shooting 3-pointers, would be a really, really good player. Um, they have a team, man. Even Tillman, and that's the other thing with Memphis. Why do you have Xavier Tillman? Like the coaching was so off. You got this guy sticking LeBron in the play that's going to send you to overtime on an ISO, a center, power
Yeah.
forward, whatever you want to call him, wherever
And,
you had him. Look, I know LeBron's big, I get it, but he is one of the best players of all time. You have a guy in Dylan Brooks who is not scared to put him on the line. You know what I'm saying? I'm putting LeBron on the line in that situation. You're not coming and putting a layup in on me. It's not happening. And I'm gonna put
and
the
then
dirty dog on you to do it.
and to your point, Steve, I almost kind of wonder, like, with a team like that, where you're saying like the immaturity and that kind of thing, in a player like Ja Morant, is the if you can't bring in a veteran player, do you need a different coach? Whereas maybe Taylor Jenkins is not the guy to kind of, this is how we're going to practice, this is how we're going to play, to kind of like lay the law down to get some of that shit out of him. You know what I mean? Because um um
They need Mark Jackson. The Knicks don't need Mark Jackson. Memphis needs Mark Jackson. Memphis will win the chip if Mark Jackson was their coach.
Absolutely. I would agree. He would know how to work with John Morant. He would
I agree with
absolutely
you
know
too.
how to work with John Morant.
But don't be surprised if Mark Jackson is a candidate in Milwaukee.
Mm,
Oh, you mean if they
that would be
decide
crazy.
to fire their coach?
That would be nuts.
I hope they don't fire their coach. I'm so tired of winning coach. Like EJ talks about quarterbacks and the microwave that they're in. Like NBA coaches are worse than anywhere. Well, NFL coaches too. But NBA coaches, these guys are winning. How many coaches? We saw 2 coaches win coach of the year and get fired from the Raptors. Like, this shit's crazy, yo. This
Yeah,
I
but
shit's
just don't
crazy.
think I
the
don't
thing
think they know what they're
is,
doing
to
in
EJ,
Toronto.
to EJ's point, right? He's saying, okay, the Heat's not even supposed to be here. You gotta one seed, not just the one seed, the team that had the best record in the NBA, the team that has the person who all of us consider to be the best player in the world
Injured.
He was
lose
injured.
to a team that had to go to the play-in. Miami lost to Atlanta at home and barely beat Chicago in the play-in to get the right to play Milwaukee.
So does
Right?
Memphis's coach get fired? Because they lost to a playing team too.
No, it's different though.
Why?
And
Why is it different?
I'm about
Because
to
it's
explain to you.
LeBron.
No. I'm about to explain to you. Here's the difference, right? Okay, Giannis gets injured, so you lose game one. You're nothing to see here. Team shocked or whatever. You lose game one. Game two, you come back and you beat the brakes off the Heat, right? Game three, Jimmy puts up 30 on you. Game four, Jimmy puts up 56 on you, right? So at this point, in my mind, even when me and my son talked about the game, teacher said, "What do you think will happen in game five?" I said, "Oh, they ain't gonna let Jimmy go off like that. He gonna get doubled. They're
Giannis
gonna
gonna
take the
be
ball
on
out of
him.
his hands. They're gonna take the ball out of his hands. They can't allow this to happen again, you know." And then I watched the game, and I'm like, "Oh, here comes the double team. Okay, maybe they'll double team next play. Okay, they're gonna do it. Maybe next play. Next thing I do, 42 points later, you know what I'm saying? 42 points later, and you get closed out of your own building with timeouts in your pocket, like you can give them out for Christmas or something. Like, hey, look what I got you, son. I saved the timeout for you." You know?
They probably, so I think they're, so I think you're exaggerating a little bit. There was double teams, but we talked about it at the top. Jimmy Butler played out of his fucking mind. Jimmy Butler looked like it was probably the best. It was definitely the best playoff performance we've seen in Heat history. And you can think about all the stars they've had on that team. That was the best playoff performance in Heat history, and
Facts.
one of the best playoff performances all time.
Well,
One of.
I've been disagreeing with VP about Budenholzer getting ousted because not that I don't think he should. I just don't see it because he's been a winning coach for them.
They just
However,
won a chip.
however, right? How do you not put this was another discussion that I had with a former basketball player. He kind of let Giannis have it. He said, in those moments, you're supposed to be the guy that steps up and says, "Nah, Jimmy's not getting that. He's not doing that." And Giannis, when it comes to those
Giannis was
big
hurt,
moments,
man. I think you
he
guys
was
are
he was
downplaying
hurt. He was
the
hurt.
back injury. It's not
Yeah,
like he had a finger injury. Like,
hear me out. Hear me out. Hear me out. Again, if you're playing, you just said this. If you're playing and you're suiting up, you got to play, right?
oh, no
Right.
doubt,
So,
no doubt.
so if Jimmy is going off like that, and you're the Greek freak, you got to get on the other team's best guy, and
Even
shut
if it's
him
not
down.
all game,
You got to do it.
couple series, on and off. But the thing with Budenholzers too, Steve, like, okay, the Heat score. There's 8 seconds remaining on the clock, right? You have two timeouts. You don't call a timeout and advance the ball to half court. You let your team take the ball the length of the floor. Granted, it's Giannis, and he can go the length of the floor in 3 steps. I get all of that, right? But how do you not take a timeout with 8 seconds to at least draw something up to send this game to double overtime? It's not like, okay, we don't get to play, we're gonna come back and get them in game six. This was your season on the line. You know what I'm saying? And you don't stop the play, draw something up, get your team to get a breather to make sure everybody understands what the play. You got a busted ass play where Giannis is passing it to Middleton, and you end up with Allen, right? You got a team with Giannis Antetokounmpo, Chris Middleton, Drew Holiday, and the guy who is like your fourth option is the one taking your final shot, and he doesn't even attempt a shot. Come on, man.
And I, I
That's
also
that's
say
fireable.
I also say his lack of playing Portis down the stretch was a problem too.
Yep.
Portis was a major factor in that team. Like he's just all around a
Yeah,
major factor,
they
and
miss Portis. They miss
they,
Portis.
they didn't play him a lot.
Listen, in that series, and I want to get back to the Western Conference, but in that series, real quick, you had some coaching blunders, no question. Giannis was injured, but you guys also have to remember Drew Holiday was voted by the NBA, by the players,
Players.
as the best defender in the league. I'm gonna put him on Jimmy. Sorry. Like this guy, he was a
That too.
finalist defensive player of the year multiple times. Like
That
he
too.
needs to be the guy defending him. And
But
and
Steve,
so
no,
It
you're
had
you're
it
right.
has to be an
You're right.
intentional had to be an intentional coaching move to put your two best defenders in A, Drew, and B, and Giannis. You gotta put them on Jimmy Butler.
but
No one
Steve
else should be on this guy.
Steve is 100% right about Drew Holiday, right? He was voted by the players as the best defensive guy. So you say I'm going to put my best guy on their best guy, no problem, right? But what does Mike Tyson say? Everybody got a plan till they get punched in the mouth. So once Jimmy punched you in the mouth, it might be like, yo, okay, I know that Jimmy is that dude according to the rest of the league, but he ain't that dude in this series for whatever reason, and I gotta switch this shit up because
But
it's
but
one
they didn't
thing
even
when
they
okay
weren't
Jimmy
even
dropped 30 on you
they
because
weren't even
Jimmy's
manning them up
lost,
though. They were
huh?
playing like zone defense. Like they weren't in those pressure situations. They were just playing zone defense a
That team
lot of
was
the
tired,
time.
man.
And it just
That team
didn't
was
look like it was working. Like
that team was tired, and they didn't have Giannis down the stretch. That's why they were up on y'all by 18 points here, 15 points there, and then they lost. It's not like you guys were blowing them out from the beginning. I think that team was tired. I don't think Giannis was himself, and I think because he was exerting so much energy, he wasn't ready when big time came, and rightfully so. He deserves the smoke. I don't think that's enough for the coach to get fired. To me,
When Jimmy hit that long jump shot from the wing, long 2-pointer, and he's walking back down the court and he's looking at Drew Holiday like you know like at that moment right there, that's when the coach needed to be like, yo, hey Drew, man, we appreciate you. Look, man, we're gonna put you on Gabe Vincent. Go ahead and shut him down
Gabe
and
Vincent,
let us try to
you
take care of Jimmy for you.
disrespecting. You better stop disrespecting Drew Holiday like that. You disrespectful.
No,
Listen,
it's not. Look,
yo,
when it's like your boy David Wiles from that show First Things First said he was like when 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 uh when Jimmy was like Drew Holiday can't guard me, and Drew Holiday was like, oh, he talking shit or whatever. He was like, no, he's not talking shit. That's basically journalism on the court. He's reporting facts. Like you can't guard.
um,
Get somebody else on him.
Denver punched Phoenix in the mouth last night.
Yeah,
And they
same the
ended up when
Clippers. The same thing
they
as the
yeah,
Clippers.
right, and I think the series is completely different if you get healthy Kawhi. But how much longer do we say that for? Like, how much longer do we say, I think this team does so much better if Kawhi's not hurt? Like, at what point we got to start treating him like Tua? I get it. Kawhi's won chips. Kawhi went to Toronto and brought them a chip. Like, but dude, at what point? And I get it. It comes out he's got a torn knee meniscus, blah 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 blah. Right. So this is an actual injury, but we give AD heat, we give Tua heat, we give all these guys that are injury prone, they get heat. But with Kawhi, we're like, can't wait to see what he does next year. Can't
Kawhi
wait
and
to see what he does
Kawhi
next
and
year.
Paul George for that matter. And I think
Mhm.
Russell Westbrook deserved a lot of credit for how he tried to carry that team and fight in
I
a
would have been hot.
situation.
Y'all would
Yeah,
have
I
been
mean,
hot. Y'all brought me
seriously,
in here to sit out. Hot.
seriously, it's like I'm here, I'm dogging it, and these two dudes can't give me anything. I mean, yeah, Kawhi. I mean, like Stephen A. said, he's probably the worst superstar we've ever seen. He's bad in the media. He's bad.
Unreliable. Most
He's just
unreliable.
bad all around. He's bad all around. He's a great player when he's playing, but when is he playing?
I think Kawhi gets shot a lot of bail for what happened early in his career, where with the Spurs he defended LeBron, defended him well, and they won that chip. Spurs Heat, and then winning that ring with Toronto, where it looks like, oh man, you left Pop. Are you serious? And then you go to a team like Toronto that I don't think anybody really had winning the chip, and then they do it, and he kind of became that dude. You know what I'm saying? And so as a result, the media just holds back and don't really, give him the business for
Mhm.
for not winning. Um, I would also
He's a
say,
professional.
yeah, I would also say that to add to EJ's list when he added on, Paul George to the Kawhi, I think you could add KD to that list. The media shoots him a lot of bail.
Yeah,
If
we
Mhm.
when he
talked about
doesn't
that.
win, huh?
Yeah, we talked about that a couple
Yeah,
pods ago.
Well, we'll
so yeah,
we'll
man.
get to see this year. I mean,
Mhm.
KD's a whole nother story. KD's a whole nother story. More so than just the injuries, but the team jumping. Like, we give LeBron a hard time for that. We got to give KD the same hard time. You
Yeah,
know.
and
Um.
there's some teams where it's like, like with the whole Giannis thing about, was the season a failure, right? And while I definitely totally understand Giannis's answer, and I like the answer, from a human aspect or whatever, but for the Milwaukee Bucks, the season was a failure. For the Phoenix Suns, if they don't win championship this year, that's this season is a failure. For the Boston Celtics, they don't win championship, the season is a failure. The Lakers, they don't win championship, the season is a failure. You know what I mean? There's other teams that I think the best example of this is, I know Steve hates this guy, but he's gonna love this example from Nick Wright. Nick Wright said, um, um, the Jacksonville Jaguars won their division and they won one playoff game last year. The Buffalo Bills won their division and they won one playoff game. Buffalo's season was a failure. The Jacksonville Jaguars weren't. You know what I'm saying? Even though they had the same end result or whatever. You know what I mean? Because teams go into seasons with different expectations. You know what I mean? And the Memphis Grizzlies didn't expect to win a championship this year. So, maybe they expected to get out of the first round, but they didn't. I'm pretty sure they didn't think they were going to win a chip, right? But teams like Phoenix, teams like the Bucks, this year was championship or
No,
bust.
Memphis season was a failure. Memphis season to me was more a failure than Milwaukee season. Personally, Memphis has a way better team. Way better team. Milwaukee has a good team, really good team. But I think Memphis collectively, they got everything. They got bench players, they got big men, they got guards, they got defensive players. They got everything in Memphis. And I'll say the same thing. If Ja didn't get hurt, we might see a different series. Definitely
I
see a
just
different
I
series.
just don't think they play to their potential
They
because
didn't.
John Morant slows their growth. He doesn't
This
know
time.
how to play everyone. He doesn't know how to play with everyone involved. And I agree with you about the Bucks. I've been getting on their roster. I don't think Middleton is that guy. He offers you nothing defensively. You know,
I
you
just
he should be somebody that could have been on Jimmy Butler, but he's horrible defensively.
I don't know what happened game 5, why Brooke Lopez wasn't a focus point. Like the game before, he looked like Shaq. He
Yeah,
looked like Shaq playing
that
against y'all.
was before where he put up 30
Yeah.
career high.
And then game 5, he looked like Darko Milicic. Like he wasn't even there. Like it was bad. All right, so let's get to the West, man. Denver beat up on Phoenix last night. KD Book. I think they kind of showed up a little bit. Chris Paul did not show up. Chris Paul had like 11 points, couple of assists. Like he was the trash that made them lose that game last night. But Jamal Murray popped up and showed that he's a star and he's a
I
name that
like
you should
that
be
kid.
talking about.
I like
Yeah.
that kid.
And coming off injury, like coming back from being injured last season, like I love to see him. He gets out there and he gets straight to it. He gets right to it.
Kentucky kid, man. He's a dog. He didn't play for Coach Cal for no reason. He's a Kentucky dog. He's a dog, man. That kid can play. We saw that in the
And
bubble
that
and
Denver team is
how he
not
got
not
off.
that good, yo. You got
It
Aaron
doesn't seem that way at all.
Gordon. Like that team doesn't seem good, but they're the number one seed. And Jokic. So and that's the thing, right? So like we talk about MVP and everyone talking about MVP this, MVP that. Jokic finds ways, man. And I know his game is like the Spurs, it's unorthodox. You just watch this guy. Like even in the All-Star game, he was like, yo, I don't belong here. This ain't for me. This ain't my game. Um, but this guy gets it done, man. Jokic, he finds ways to get it done. Passing, rebounding, scoring, a little bit of everything, man. And this guy's always on the floor to be a 7-footer, always on the floor, getting right up. Like you gotta tip your hat to him, man. And with Jamal Murray playing well, if Aaron Gordon can continue to play well, it's gonna be a long series for Phoenix.
Yeah, I think that Phoenix has to kind of like Steve's point earlier about LeBron Wade. I think Book and KD need to have like one of them kind of like come to Jesus
Moments.
moments, and it's like, yo,
Hmm.
who's the guy? You know what I'm saying? Because like KD puts up what he put up 29, 27, something like that,
Mm-hmm. I
and
think he
then
went
and
29.
then and then Book put up 20 something or whatever. Like one of them dudes has to be the guy who's going in there, getting you 30. The other guy maybe gets you, 20 and 12. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
we go into the championship and win a ring or whatever. Like we can't both, somebody got to sacrifice shots, and it don't
But
seem like that's happening with that team.
But the other problem here that we're not focusing on is defense. The defense at this point is just becoming it's becoming Denver's game because they slow the game down and they still score points somehow. But if you don't have an answer for Jokic, you don't have an answer for Murray defensively, then you have a problem. You know what I mean? Devin Booker, KD, they're not known to be defensive specialists. Who on that team is going to get out there and say, we're going to make this an ugly game and we're going to stop the other team from scoring?
Mhm.
Phoenix is just like, we're just going to score all day long. And Chris Paul is supposed to be that guy that can give the other teams point guard fits, but he's older now. You know what I mean? Jamal Murray's like, nah, I'm a young dog. You gonna have to show me. You know what I mean? So that team at some point in time is gonna have to play some dirty basketball and stop the other team from scoring. They look at these scores. Like Phoenix is averaging like in the playoffs like 100-point games like every game. Like it's crazy. Like there's no defense being played.
So the problem with Phoenix, couple things, right? To me, I think one, Chris Paul didn't show up last night. That's huge. Two, to your point, VP, you got two superstars, KD and D Book, and Book has to be that guy. Like he's to me, I think he's the better pure today scorer. KD in his prime, but today, right now, the way Book is playing like Jimmy Butler to me. And you got to give that guy, you got to let him do his thing. But DeAndre Ayton has to show up. Like you can't let Jokic grab 19 boards and you only grab 7 and only put up 14. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And you get into foul trouble early. Like that's a
I think
problem.
he's overrated.
The other piece is Phoenix traded away all their depth. They have no depth. They're
Yep.
starting Okogie. Like
Yep.
that's their fifth starter. Once you get to their bench, you got Shamit, Biombo, Craig. Like they got bums. They traded
And that
all their
and that
all
and
their
that's the
depth away.
price. And we've seen this and we've killed LeBron for this in the past. That's the price of going out there and trying to buy yourself
A chip.
offensive talent, buy yourself a chip, and you don't have those guys in down in your roster that go down there and muck it up and make it a dirty game. Like they,
Mhm.
if you look throughout the playoffs, every game that they've been in is over 100+ points. They're scoring, but nobody's stopping anyone. And to your
Mhm.
point, you don't have that deep bench player that can play both sides of the ball and give you minutes when these guys are tired. You just don't have it.
Yeah, their bench is ass, yo. Their bench is ass.
Yeah.
You know the difference is LeBron is a politician. You know what I mean? In the sense of he knew, like, before I go ahead and get all these teams together, I'm not only going to focus on the top talent. Let me focus on the veterans that are also willing to come with me, so that my bench, while it may not be the greatest, I'll have some big guys. A Ray Allen. You know what I mean? I'm gonna have Jason Williams. Was Jason Williams there with LeBron?
No, that was the 016.
Birdman. I knew it was a
Yeah,
white guy,
Birdman.
but he had some depth there, right?
Yeah, the white dude
And
who's shooting on the 3 pointers. I can't think of his name right now.
Mike Miller.
Yeah, Miller, Mike
Yeah,
Miller.
but that's the thing, right? I don't think Phoenix thought this through. They traded away a lot of good pieces, which made the Nets single handedly kind of look like a decent squad in the playoffs, even though they lost, but they played a really good team. But I think the key to this series, they're gonna have to be, I don't know. They're gonna have to figure something out. They're gonna have to be irreproachable. Like Chris Paul cannot go 11-5. You can't give me 11-5 when you have these two absolute monsters and a good center. Not a great center, maybe not even a top center, but he's got size, he can score. Like you got to be able to make plays as that point guard. Chris Paul's going to have to get 10 to 15 assists a game and
Mhm.
probably put up 15, 16 points a game, and then just let these guys go crazy. But the assists are going to be really important there. Jokic, he's going to get his, yo. He's going to get like this 19 boards quiet. I didn't even realize that's what he had. And you know what I mean? I just
Mhm.
looked it up. I didn't know that's what he had. Jamal Murray went for 34. You can't let that guy get off like that. Pause. Aaron Gordon went for 23 and 6. Like, to your point, EJ, they're not playing defense. They are not playing defense. And it's going to be a long series for them. It's going to be a long, long series for Phoenix. On the other side of the West,
Well, who you guys
we
got?
oh, good point. Um, man, this is tough. This is a
For
tough one.
me, it's tough based off just game one because I mean I had Phoenix coming out of the West, so I'm gonna stick with that.
Hmm.
Me too.
And only seeing one game, I can't call the series yet, so I'm gonna say Phoenix gets it done in 6 games, sticking with my Phoenix coming out of the West at the beginning of the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm gonna stick with Phoenix also, just
I
because
still
I
got.
picked them.
I still have Phoenix in the series, but it's only because they have some goddamn killers on that side. Like at any point, KD can go for 46. Like that conversation we had about LeBron when he broke the record, and we're like, yo, there's certain guys, through history that you can say, hey, I need 40 tonight, and they can go out and get it. He's one of those guys, and I think at any point he can do that. So, he's gonna have to leave it all out there. But I think Phoenix wins the series still. I think it goes 6. Lakers are going to be going into shit.
Still
Where the
waiting.
Lakers playing?
Winner of Golden State,
Oh, right,
Sacramento.
dude. What is up with that? I told y'all Sacramento was a sleeper. I
Yeah,
told y'all. Um, De'Aaron Fox is different, yo.
I think,
Have you guys watched any of those games?
yeah, and I think the young guys are out here. We forget Clay and Steph. These guys are getting a little older in the tooth.
long in the
And
tooth.
Draymond, yeah, longer in the tooth. And Draymond, this guy. I mean, just watching the game, watching the fouls, the stupid shit. Like he's just, I mean, he's really sickening to watch. He really is. Like that shit that he does, it's just not working here. And let's credit the Kings and Mike Brown. Mike Brown has been here before. This guy has been a coach around the league that hasn't gotten a lot of respect throughout his career. He coaches defense. He knows how to coach young guys. He's been around, and I think it's his time. I think he's really motivating this team to understand their true potential and get the best out of them. And they got an opportunity to close it out today. I mean, when Klay Thompson was in the press conference, he was like, I know the guys I'm with. He didn't sound real confident to me. He had that arrogant, light skin shit that he's doing, but I don't think he believes they can beat this team. I think Sacramento, credit to Mike Brown and how he's got these young guys going. I hope they close it out.
Either way, that series stays in Cali, um,
Yeah,
for away and home. So home cooking for the most part, no matter what. Um, I think EJ, you made a good point about Mike Brown. There was a snippet that came out where Steve Kerr was like, "Hey, now you don't know our playbook, right? They changed up the plays or whatever." I think people forget Mike Brown came from that Golden State coaching staff. So while they may have changed the plays, he still knows the strengths and weaknesses. He's a year removed from a team where he's seen Clay can't go one way. You know what I
hmm
mean? Clay has got to be a coming off a screen shooter type guy. Like he can shoot spot up from certain areas, but he's if we push him right, he's not gonna do like whatever it is. He knows that, and to your point, he's a defensive guy. So he knows that Steph hasn't looked like Steph with the shooting, and I think it's because even though he's running around, he's not getting the play in his feet. So those shots he's taking are all off balance, and we've seen him make those in the past. But when every shot looks like that, you're gonna miss him. And De'Aaron Fox is keeping up with him. Young legs. EJ, you always said put young legs on Steph and things get different. Um, and he just looks and now on the other side, you got Adidas guy pause. De'Aaron Fox is a monster. Fast as shit. This dude's a monster, yo. He is an absolute beast, yo. I seen a play. One of the play. I'm gonna look for the video because I know it's got to be all over the
Isn't he
place.
another Kentucky guy?
He did he come from Kentucky?
I thought he did. Can't remember.
He might have.
I think he's
And
a
then they
Kentucky
did
kid.
this with Sabonis in foul trouble all last game. Golden State should not be struggling with this team.
He's another guy. He's another nut. Like Sabonis just does nut shit. Like it just he confusing me. Yeah, he's a
yeah. De'Aaron Fox, a
Kentucky guy.
Kentucky guy.
Yep, Kentucky man. Calipari had them
And
dogs.
then
Man.
the big difference is I think
Shit,
for
quickly's a Kentucky guy too.
yeah, I think the big difference for Sacktown is Malik Monk ain't scared of nobody.
Another Kentucky guy. Yo,
Ain't
another
like the
Kentucky
Eagles with
guy.
all them Georgia players.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man. This Kentucky
yeah.
guys, they may not Calipari. Shout out to Calipari, and Steve and I have both given him praise, but while he can't always maybe put a college team together, he knows how to find them guys that's gonna play on the next level. And
He breeds them. Yeah.
he tells them, he's like, yo, go get your money. Don't worry about this shit here. Go get your
Yeah.
bread, son.
Um, since you mentioned it, Vari, Eagle season was a failure last year too. For Eric, if he's listening. So the Lakers get the winner of this Golden State and Sacramento game, which is this afternoon, 3 o'clock Eastern time, 3:30 Eastern time rather, in Sacramento. Who you guys think win that game?
I believe Sacramento. I wouldn't be surprised if Golden State pulls out a miraculous effort and beats them, but I just think Sacramento should win. I think they're gonna win.
I'm on the same boat. I think Golden State can. I mean, the championship pedigree. You know what I mean? Like these guys have been there before. They've been in every situation, so they can win this game. But I think Sacramento gets it done.
I'm picking Golden State. For the two reasons you guys said there, or the one reason you guys said. Why is my dog loose outside? Like, what is going on in my house? um, because they got that championship pedigree. Like I can't bet against Steph, Clay, Wiggins. I can't bet against those three. Draymond will find a way to make somebody mad, maybe get somebody a tech or two, and change the game up a little bit, or get
you,
himself a tech or two
my unsung hero of the series, Harrison Barnes. Harrison Barnes. You
tonight.
know, just all serious. I mean, he's been quietly contributing on the defensive and offensive end. And he listens to clown ass Draymond and stupid shit he's saying. He ain't got nothing to say. He's playing with no emotion. He's just out here doing his thing, putting up numbers, and contributing. I think he's the unsung hero of the series.
If do you think either of these two teams can beat the Lakers in 7?
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
would say so.
Do you think both teams can beat the Lakers in 7? All right.
I-
So you guys both think the Kings can beat the Lakers in 7,
yeah.
but neither of you think that Golden State can beat the Lakers in 7.
Yeah,
That's
I think
that's
Warriors
my
a little
thought.
bit tougher, but
I think it's a fight for the Warriors because I don't
Yeah.
think they got anybody for 80. Looney is their difference maker. When he has big games, they win. But when Steve Kerr decides I'm gonna put Looney on the bench and I'm gonna play this small game, they lose. And Steve Kerr is a good coach. He's been the beneficiary of a really good team that got put to a dynasty that got put together by another really, really good coach.
Mm, mm.
But I think tonight or this afternoon, we'll see if Steve Kerr is as good a coach as people have said over these years, because it's going to take some really good coaching to win this game. And if they win this game, next series he's gonna have to figure it out because
Well,
that
they're
team.
gonna have to win 7. They still gonna have to win again, which
No,
is
it's 3-3.
it's
It's
three
3-3.
three.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh shoot, Saint game
yeah.
7.
This
Ooh,
yeah, this is game 7.
yeesh. Oh yeah, yeah.
But they should have won because. And here's the thing with Golden State: if they lose tonight, I think they'll be the first team ever to lose 2-3-1 leads. They lost the one
No,
to
no.
LeBron.
There's been 13 teams. There's been 13 teams in history to do it.
The
To
same
lose
team that lose it twice.
it twice. I don't know
Yeah,
about
they
that.
lost. They lost it to LeBron, and then they were up 3-1 in this series.
Oh yeah. Well, that
So I'm
might be
saying I
different.
think they're the first team ever that will lose two
Twice.
3-1 series
Wow.
with this
Uh,
dynasty of a team that they got.
Yeah,
So
that'd be different.
either way, I don't know that for me, I don't think either one of these teams beat the Lakers in 7. I
I
think
definitely think
I think both
Sacramento
of them
does.
have the pieces to do it, and I think Sacramento has the better shot. But I don't know, man. Like if AD plays the way he played these last couple of games,
Yeah, but
the Lakers
that's the thing.
Lakers win the West.
That's the thing. That's the thing. Dress shoes, dress clothes, street clothes AD, you just never know.
Yeah,
Street
I
clothes
just
AD, you just never
if I'm
know.
playing against AD, I'm gonna pluck the back of his ear and put him out for this for the rest
Right.
of the
Yeah, I
season.
mean, street clothes, you just never know, man. You never know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
AD fuck around and get hurt stretching.
yeah.
But yo, enough of the NBA. Though. Draft just came and went. How you guys feeling, yo? Let's
Wait,
talk about it.
before the draft, let's talk about how you feel. How do you feel about getting your guy, Aaron
You
Rodgers?
listen.
Aaron Rodgers is now a Jet. I've been seeing some big talk from Jets fans. Big talk coming out of New York from people.
Hmm.
Shit, I've been seeing big talk from Giants fans about the Jets. Um, Aaron Rodgers didn't cost as much as people thought he would. I mean, I think the Jets made out pretty well. It'll probably cost them two firsts. I think they're gonna next year is gonna end up being a
Yeah,
first
it's gonna
I
because
be
he's
mean,
two
gonna.
first for sure.
if next year costs us a first, you have to think that we had some success, right? Because
No.
if Aaron Rodgers, oh, hear me out. If you're supposed to say that, but if Aaron
No,
Rodgers,
I'm being total unbiased. It's the whole
no, I
stipulation
get it.
is a conditional second round pick if he
If he
plays
plays
65% of the
65%,
snaps.
and what I'm
There's
saying is,
the second quarterback on your team is not going to play more than 35% of the snaps
what
if
I'm
Aaron
what I'm
Rodgers ain't
saying
Unless
healthy.
he's
is,
hurt.
what I'm saying is, if we get a healthy Aaron Rodgers and we keep him healthy, and our team stays healthy, and you're right, factually that does not have to mean success, but I'm hoping for us that if it does cost us the first next year, that would have mean we had a healthy Aaron Rodgers, a pretty healthy team, and not just to be a homer on this, but I mean, we watched Zach Wilson win 5 games, and bro, we were down to like our fourth, fifth string tackle. I don't think people realize how many injuries we had up front last year. So all I can really say is, man, I'm super happy that Aaron Rodgers is a Jet because by far this is the best quarterback we've had in I don't know how long. I don't. And so if we can get a fully healthy team, we'll be all right.
I mean, I hear you. I think it's like I said, I think it's gonna cost the two firsts regardless, or the first next year. Basically, it was a pick swap this year, so it didn't really cost the first. You just swapped the first.
Hmm.
Um, um,
Not
but yeah, I mean,
much
I think
either.
what's that?
Said not much this year either. I think what was it like three spots?
Yeah, it
No,
was like
two
from
spots.
12 to like 15 or
13 to
something like
15.
that.
13 to
13 to
15.
15. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then the fact that the contract situation, that looks really favorable for Green Bay. They're gonna have to do a restructure because he's still owed that money. So we'll see what happens. But this year cap hit's only gonna be I think like $1 million, something like that. Um,
1.65.
yeah. So basically nothing, but it'll work itself out on the back end. Um, but yeah, I think Jets fans should be excited. You get a Hall of Fame quarterback, not in his prime, but I mean, he's what 1-2 seasons removed from winning an MVP. You know what I mean? So I think that the Jets are going into it thinking that they're the Buccaneers, right? Where you have Hall of Fame, GOAT type quarterback walking into a ready-made situation, and they're gonna just get to the Super Bowl. And the difference is that this ain't your I don't even want to call it your father's AFC East. This ain't your cousin's AFC East, I guess I'll say. Where there's only one good team, and so as long as you got a good quarterback, you're gonna dominate. The Bills are here now. The Dolphins are here now, and the Patriots are the odd man out at this point. But like I said last week or in during the week, Steve, I think that you could have 3 teams out of the AFC East go to the playoffs this year. I honestly believe that just based on how the teams look right now.
Well,
Obviously,
you should have had three
we ain't
last
get
year, and the
yeah.
Jets fucked it up.
So
And so that might be the difference this year having a quarterback.
yeah, but I think that just looking at the schedule, even though we haven't seen the official schedule yet, like where what games going to be played when, etc. But
He
just
about to
based on who the
disrespect
opponents
you.
are, I think that the Jets could win double-digit games, minimum of 10, just based on who they're playing. But at the end of the day, it's the Jets, and they're gonna find a way to fuck it up just because they just that's just what they do. They pull defeat from the jaws of victory. So
EJ, how many games did
Uh,
the Jets win this year?
like I said, man, we won 7 last year. 5 of those with Zach Wilson at the helm, and then Mike White, who's injury prone, no good. Joe
yo, don't hate on
Flacco.
hey man, don't be talking about Mike White like that, yo.
I'm just giving you the facts, buddy. I'm just giving you the facts.
I got to
I
defend
think
my guys, man.
I think we got to win 10, man. I mean, 10 is the bar. I think we get over 10. I hope. The offense looks good. Got Hardman, got Lazard, got Garrett Wilson. I'm hoping that we just stay healthy, and I'm hoping that defensively, we turn the corner as well, because we had a good defense last year. With horrible quarterback play, that makes such a difference. I hope we can just stay healthy. If we stay healthy, I think we're gonna get 10 games or more.
I
Who
agree with that.
wins? Who wins the AFC East this year?
I don't know. It's anybody's division at this point, honestly. I mean, I just know I hope the Patriots don't. But I
I
think it's
don't agree with that. I don't think it's anybody's division. I think
think
it's between the three teams that we've been talking
oh
about.
yeah, no, I mean that's what I'm saying. It's anybody's division at that point, in my opinion. I mean, we beat the Bills last year again with Zach Wilson. So they're beatable. You know what I mean? They're a
Oh yeah.
team. They're not unbeatable. So
The Bills are overrated. The Bills are a media team. They're a media hype team. They're not like a juggernaut like KC, where it's like, oh shit, man, KC's coming. We got to go to KC, or KC's coming to us, where you're legit worried. And I think that the media has hyped up the Bills and Josh Allen to be that, and they're just not. We beat them, week 2 of the season, and then when we played them again at the end of the season, we took them to the wire and they beat us by 3 points with our backup, or not with our third string rookie quarterback. We took them to the wire and they beat us by three
Tyler.
points. And then in the playoffs, same shit. We took them to the wire with our third string rookie quarterback and they beat us by 3 points. The Bills are not some juggernaut that just should be feared. That's one. Two, because of how fucked up the Bills cap situation was, the Bills team of last year is not the Bills team this year. So
True.
that team is definitely gettable this year. If I
True.
had to rank the teams on how I think the AFC East will finish, I'm gonna say one, Miami, bias, of course, two, New York, and then Buffalo.
Which one?
So I ask you, from not your fan heart, who wins the AFC East this year?
Okay. If I had to go not fan heart, I would say probably the Jets, and then Dolphins, and then Bills.
But all three make the playoffs. At
I
least
think
two.
so.
Definitely two. I think
I
two
think two for
teams,
sure.
no question from that division, should
Yo,
make the
the
playoffs.
pain and anguish.
EJ, who wins the AFC
Oh,
East this year?
non-biased opinion. It all comes down to injury for both teams. It's only between Miami and the Jets, and I would lean towards the Jets in the sense that we have better quarterback play. We have potentially a better defense. And Miami, the only factor is Tua's health, and they've got to find a way to protect that guy, because if he gets hurt, Mike White ain't it. And like I told Vari jokingly, but in a lot of serious ways, I think the kid Skyler is actually, to me, going to be pretty good if someone invests in him. But if Tua gets hurt, man, I mean, throw the whole show away. You know what I mean? You hope that he can play and be healthy, because you don't want this kid to get any more damage than he's already been. But I'd have to go with, right now on paper, the Jets. But it's football. Any given Sunday, anything can happen.
Yeah, and to the Tua point, real quick, I don't think it's necessarily the team is not protecting Tua. Tua is not protecting himself. There's a lot of times when he's holding on to the ball, trying to just do that just a bit more than a guy like a Rodgers, a guy like a Tom Brady, who says, "Let me throw this shit away and I'm come back on second down and see what we can make happen." You know, like just live for the next play. You don't have to always, there's some times where, you got to go out there and get that one more yard, or try to get one more second to make a throw, but to a place, like every situation is that time. It's like, dude, it's 8 minutes left in the first quarter. Like, throw that shit away. You know what I mean? Like, we got a whole game here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Steve, we getting into the draft? What we gonna do?
Yeah, let's just try. I just wanted to get your take on when you got your guy.
Oh man, I was happy. I was excited. I was
Cream his
excited,
pants.
and yeah, and the compensation to me was well worth it. Well worth it,
Yeah.
because if you're Joe Douglas, right, and I'll say this real quickly, if you're Joe Douglas and you're giving up a first next year, you pick swapping this year, gave up a second that you got for a guy that you traded to Cleveland that no longer wanted to be there. Let's not forget that. Elijah Moore couldn't keep himself under control. Joe Douglas took a flyer on you, drafted you despite all of your nonsense at Ole Miss. All right, sent you to Cleveland, got a second round pick, sent that to Green Bay, got a couple other late round joints. Only going to hit us for 1 mil on the cap this year. If you're Joe Douglas as a GM, you got to do this now. You can't be worried about picks for 3-4 years. He might not have that long. Granted, he's improved his team, but you never know. You got to show the owner and Woody Johnson and the fan base that you're ready to try to do whatever you can to make this season a success. And I loved it. I loved it.
Yeah. I mean, I think it was a win-win for both teams, man. The Jets get their quarterback. They don't have to give up the farm. And Green Bay basically gets rid of a guy they didn't want anymore. And so, but win-win for both teams.
They went out there and didn't get him a receiver though. They
Yeah.
didn't get Jordan Love a receiver though. That
Yo, I told you that tweet I saw. Somebody was like, "Yo, Aaron Rodgers got to be texting Jordan Love, like, you see the shit I've been dealing with."
right, right, exactly, exactly. Incredible, incredible.
Yeah, yeah. I think the Jets got a lot better. With Aaron
I agree.
Rodgers, he's got to stay healthy. There's some big guys over there. Garrett Wilson, um, he was already looking good towards the end of last year, but let's not discount. And the Jets defense is not a slouch, so let me not make it
Mhm.
sound this way. But we can't discount um Miami's defense and what they've done to kind of counter that with adding Jalen Ramsey. Like that's big. Like, you got Aaron Rodgers, but I also have Jalen Ramsey there. So I don't know. I don't know who wins that division right now. Um I don't know if it's Buffalo. If Buffalo can find a way to get Dalvin Cook, after whatever the deadline you were talking about last night, they become a better team. But until they start running the ball with someone other than Josh Allen, they're not doing they ain't
They
doing
just choose not to run the ball. They literally just choose not to run the ball.
Yeah.
it. How do you guys feel about the draft? How do you
For
feel about your teams, and who do you think won? And
for me, I didn't like our draft. We only had 4 picks. We weren't active. We basically didn't make any moves. We picked exactly where we were supposed to pick every round. And I get that, like, especially we couldn't be that active, because in order to do so, we'd have had to start giving up picks next year. And our owner, really screwed us by the tampering with Tom Brady and Sean Payton. So we lost our first round. We lost the first and a third this year, and then a fourth next year. So, so again, like,
cheating ass
yeah,
Dolphins.
so we couldn't be active. But in the second round, with us taking Cam, whatever his name is, from South Carolina, the cornerback, like, I understand that pick, but I didn't like it, right? And the whole thinking is Xavier Howard, right? Xavier Howard's getting older. Also, next year we owe him 25 million bucks, so they probably thinking, let's bring in the rookie, get him schooled up. He'll be in the same room with X and Jalen Ramsey and Nick Needham and Kader Kohu. So let's get this guy ready, and then next year we're gonna walk away from X. We either trade him or walk away. You know, and so I'm assuming that's what the thinking is. But it's like, man, like, I just didn't like it, man. Like, we have so many pressing needs on the offensive line. We need a running back. And we did pick up a running back last night. The kid from H or however you say his name. He's a speed guy. Like they say the think like Darren Sproles type guy. Um,
Mm.
but we didn't address offensive line into the seventh round. Tight end, the guy we got in the sixth round is like a tight end receiver hybrid. He's supposed to be like a cheap man's Mike Gesicki. But I'm like, we weren't using Gesicki, so what do we get this guy for?
You guys also
Like,
picked a wide receiver in like the third round, right? Fourth round.
no, we didn't take a wide receiver. We
You
took
did?
a cornerback, a running back,
Oh,
the wide
cornerback.
receiver. That was a sixth round. We didn't have a fourth round. We only had a second, third, sixth, and seventh. So we
Damn.
took a running a tight end / wide receiver hybrid guy in the sixth round. So I didn't care for our draft. Dolphins have been. I mean, all teams are. Don't get me wrong, but Dolphins were really active last night in the undrafted free agent market. We signed like 15 guys, like just last night alone. So I'm assuming that we're gonna try to find some guys there since we didn't really have that many picks in the draft, and we'll see what happens.
How you feel about your draft, EJ?
Uh, the draft itself was very top heavy. If you needed something, and we needed O line, and because of our trade back, we didn't get the guys that we had our eyes on, and I kind of foresaw. I saw that coming, because a lot of the drafts that happened early kind of shaped the way that fell out to us. So I'm not mad at it. I was initially mad because I thought we could probably trade out and then get back, but I'm thinking no one wanted to trade with us to fall back in the draft. So we took the kid from Iowa State who's an edge rusher. He looks really damn good. I mean, in the Senior Bowl, he was killing some of the guys that got drafted as offensive tackle, like the kid from Tennessee. He was killing this kid in the game and in practice. So we got a guy that should be able to really rush the passer, which adds to our locker room in that sense. Um, but then going forward, we got our center that we wanted, Joe Tipman, good center, could play a lot of different positions on the O line. So I think overall we addressed some needs. I think Joe Douglas is looking at this team as if, we have a lot of pieces. We didn't really have to do a lot in the draft. We have a lot of pieces. Let's just fill some gaps with some really good guys. We signed Connor McGovern. We re-signed him as our starting center, and then we just drafted a kid who might take his job. So, and Connor McGovern got re-signed for like 1 million in change. Like he's just out there as another piece who's a starting center. So I think it was solid overall for what we want to do. And we'll see, man. But I honestly really like what the Cowboys did. Not to steal your thunder, but I like what the Cowboys did.
I've learned not to question so much the Cowboys drafting because they always seem to figure it out. That's one thing that Jerry does well. He has people that make good decisions on draft day. There's a couple that didn't pan out, Taco Charlton, a couple guys that didn't pan out. But for the most part, a lot of times when they pick these guys that you're like, are you sure? They
Yeah.
turn out to be good. Travis Frederick
I felt like Michael
turned out.
Parsons was that way.
Micah
I've seen
Oh
I've
no,
seen a
Parsons.
no, Mike.
lot of Cowboy fans was like Michael Parsons.
I didn't understand that. I did not understand that.
No,
Michael
no,
Parsons
I liked Marco. I
was
like
an
Micah,
animal in college. Animal.
and EJ loved Micah because he looked just like him. Um,
My son.
but
Oh,
I like that they did get better on defense. First round we went DT nose
he's a
tackle,
beast. He is
big
a beast.
guy,
Mm-hmm.
Michigan. We
Yeah,
got
That
an
he's
kid
anchor
can
physical.
to
play.
yeah anchor to the line. We ended up
Steve,
picking up a huh.
Steve, I'm telling you that when I'm telling you that kid has been consistent out there. He plays like a professional.
Yeah.
He's a monster. I was so excited when y'all got that pick.
He looks
But my
big, man. He looks, and I watched some of the tape. You guys know I don't watch college football, so for me, it's all tape after, after the draft. So I watched some of the YouTube videos and stuff, and I liked what I saw. He's not an edge rusher, and I think that's what Cowboys fans don't realize. You're like, oh, he didn't have a lot of sacks, so he's not a rusher. He's a
Yeah,
nose
people kill me
tackle.
with that shit. It's like, yo, he's a nose tackle. He's not. He's there to
Right.
plug up the middle, stop the run. He's not there
Yep.
to get sacks.
Mozzie Smith. I like that kid so far.
Hmm.
Just from what I saw on tape. Obviously, he's gonna take some work, hard work, practice, things like that. But it should with anybody for the most part. Then I think we did pretty well. We went tight end. Another
Shoemaker.
Michigan guy. Yeah, two Michigan guys back to back. Michigan had a good season last year, so if these guys
Hmm.
had such a good season, I don't know much of them. I was hoping we would get Kincaid, Dawson Kincaid. I
And
really
the kid
wanted
y'all
that.
got at tight end is somebody I wanted. I thought that was somebody we should have went after with pick 51. Y'all got him at 58.
Shoemaker.
So yeah, because we need a
Yeah,
tight end. And the thing is that at the
Michigan has been producing tight ends with
yeah,
Gesicki and other guys. They've been
hmm
good at tight end.
at
Really
the
solid.
post draft media availability for the Dolphins, when our GM was asked about O line and tight end, because the media has been saying it, the fans have been saying it, and he literally was like, "You guys are way more worried about tight end and offensive line than I am." And I'm thinking like, did this guy watch fucking Austin Jackson and Liam Eichenberg during the season? Because I did, and they fucking suck. And it's not like you're saying like, oh, we're letting these guys develop, we're giving them time. It's been 3 fucking seasons, yo. It's time. We've given them the time. Let's start getting them replaced, because they not it. And the thing is that those two guys who I just mentioned, that's the right side of our line, which is Tua's blind side. You know what I'm saying? Because he's a lefty. So what the fuck?
yeah. But I told you that. I said it years ago. Even when Tua started, I'm like, man, it's gonna be different for when you got guys. It's hard to scheme for left-handed quarterbacks. Like it's just hard. And these guys get paid a hell of a lot of money, so it has to happen. But I don't think people always think about that. It was one of the things I thought was going to be a problem for Tyreek, but Tyreek is just fast. He just runs as fast as he can and hopes the ball gets there, no matter who the quarterback is. Um, but then, yeah, so then I like the linebacker that we picked,
Overshown.
Varian. I
Yep.
like him, third round.
Hmm.
And then I know we picked up a DE at some point, which I
For
felt was pretty
Hoko.
Fourth
good.
round.
For
Yeah.
Hoko from San
For
Jose
Hoko.
State.
Yep.
Yep.
Supposedly he was defensive player in his division of the year, but we already have a Fihoko at wide receiver, and he hasn't panned out. So I associate last names, and that's how that's how it works for me. So right now it's a
Like,
grain of
throw away the
salt.
whole family.
Right, it's a grain of salt.
All
But
of
I
us
I,
don't.
I feel like, and I think I said it in the chat. I think the way that they kept Dan Quinn from leaving is they said, "Yo, draft day is yours." You know what I'm saying? Like, if you stick with us, we're gonna give you what you want. You pick the draft, and he probably was told you're next in line as soon as if McCarthy can't get it done. So
It's funny
because
you say
we
that, because I feel like that would happen with us, because like that Cam, whatever the fuck his name is, the cornerback we took from South Carolina, that's a Vic Fangio pick. Like,
mm,
even when you, like, when they show the draft room, when they announced the pick, you see McDaniels just sitting there, he's on his phone, he look like he's surfing Instagram or some shit. Like, there's like no reaction. And then in the third round, when we get the running back, McDaniels like fist pumping and going crazy and high fiving and shit.
Mm.
and then we got the one thing that I thought was interesting is in round 6, and we're seeing a lot more of this. It's similar to what the Knicks did. We picked Deuce Vaughn, which is running back out of Kansas State.
Hmm.
Hmm.
And I watch his tape; it looks okay. But what stuck out to me most is his father is one of our scouts.
Mm.
Yeah, he got to
So
draft his son. Yeah, I saw that.
so it seemed like it was a dope moment. They highlighted it real nicely. I just hope it pans out,
Yeah.
because if we don't make a move, we talking about Tony Pollard coming off of a pretty big leg injury, and this kid's gonna have he's gonna have to carry some load there. Pause.
Hmm.
So, um, Bryce
Yo,
Young. Bryce Young. It was said in the chat. Bryce Young went number 1. You think that was the best pick? Was that you guys' guy?
I mean, I would lean towards CJ Stroud. I
Me
mean,
too.
me
I'm
personally.
hesitant on those short quarterbacks, man.
So
You got
Stroud,
one. Yeah, I got
right?
one.
He's taller. He's
And
taller than Bryce Young.
yeah,
Yeah.
Bryce Young he's like Kyler. football
Yeah, I
player
was about
guy.
to say. I think they said
But
he's 5'9" and they on the screen when he got drafted. They said like 5'9" and 3/8 or some shit like that. Like he's not even
Drew
five
Brees,
ten.
Drew Brees was only 5'9", I think. So
Like two
you
is
could,
at least 6 feet.
yeah.
So they say.
Um, and then we saw a running back go early. Fuck the Eagles. I'm sorry, not the Eagles. Fuck Atlanta. Atlanta took them. Still fuck the Eagles because they went ahead and traded up to 9 and picked up Carter, which is God.
Yo, that
God,
that team
Yeah,
defensively, I
I
do
hate
they,
that.
not
they
I do
understood the
not want to
assignment.
play these guys. I do not want to
They
we play these guys this year and we don't beat the Eagles. We just don't beat the Eagles. I do not want to play them until like week 12.
yeah
That defense is crazy.
the Eagles understood the assignment, man. They had a fantastic draft. I thought fantastic draft.
Team Georgia.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they I mean, realistically, they lost the Super Bowl last year because they couldn't play defense in
Mm-hmm.
big spots and they got beat on the same play twice.
Yeah.
So, what do you say to your fan base? Hey, we going we going defense in the draft. We going to shore this
Right.
shit up. And Cowboys similarly, right? We were getting beat up on the run. We went and got a DT linebacker and a DE. It don't get no better than that if you're trying to stop the run
Right.
in the draft,
and
So,
and to be the losing team in the Super Bowl and have the second to last pick, but still be able to pick in the top 10 due to trades from the previous year is phenomenal because you get a team that's loaded and you get to add top tier talent. You know what I mean? Like that was man. I thought the Eagles had a fantastic
Yo,
Eagles. I think the Texans first round was better.
oh, that was
Like
smart.
them trading back into three. Whoo, but Eagles and Texans they killed the first round. I thought.
the Eagles got Jalen Carter, one of the best defensive tackles physically we have seen in a very long time. They go and get his teammate Nolan Smith, who is another dog to rush the passer. They get O line depth in the second round, and in the third round they come back and get Sidney Brown at safety, which I
Mm.
was like, wow. And I don't want I don't want to play that team early. I just don't I don't want to play that team early at all. Like
Yeah,
They needed secondary help, so that's good for them.
yeah.
yeah.
I mean, their whole draft was defense except two players.
Hmm.
Well, the key I think for their season is that they had a fluke quarterback year last year, and this guy is going to be trash moving forward for the rest of his career, and that's the hopes. And so hopefully he turns into Carson Wentz. Um,
That's funny.
Atlanta,
CJ.
Atlanta, Atlanta went running back.
I don't know what the hell they're doing down there. I really
Yeah,
don't.
That
I
was
didn't like
that was
that. I didn't
early.
like that move.
Yeah, they already had running back. Drake London at wide receiver that they picked last year. Um, like I don't know, man. I don't know what Atlanta's doing.
I don't know
Mm.
either. CJ Stroud, unfortunately for him, he goes to Houston. That's going to be rebuilding. I was very shocked that the Colts took Anthony Richardson, which I think threw off the board a lot going forward. So that was very interesting to me.
So I saw. So there was the kid Levin that fell to the second round that everybody was like, oh, he's a top X talent,
Will
right?
Levis.
Levitt, sorry.
Mhm.
Um, I think it panned out for him because even though he didn't go till the second day, he's going to a team where he's probably going to start immediately. So he easily could have gotten picked up by another team in the first round and been, a future potential guy. But I think he goes to the Titans and he's going to start. So I think he didn't make out from a money standpoint, but I think he's going to make out in the sense that he's got a great chance of being their starter immediately.
Yeah,
The
he's got
one
to prove it.
thing, yeah, I agree with you, Steve. And the one thing that kind of helps you in those situations like that when you drop out of the first, I mean, the money is definitely a big factor, right? Because you look at um Jalen Hurts, for example, right? He's coming into the last year of his deal, and he was only scheduled to make $6 million, you know. Whereas if he was a first round guy, he'd be making 20 million this year.
Mm,
But if you prove it, like you guys are saying, you get to play and you prove it, you get to force the hand of the team to pay you sooner.
sooner.
Because for
Yeah.
them, as a first round pick, they can put that fifth year option on you to make you like Lamar, have you go out all 5 years. Then they start franchise tagging you and shit like that. So in a situation where you're a first round pick, you literally the team could lock you up for 7 years without ever having to give you a contract extension by picking up the fifth year option and then tagging you twice. You know what I mean? Um, Whereas in this situation, you go in the second round pick, they can't. There's no fifth year option. They can't tag you, but it gives you a little bit more flexibility to force them to pay you if it turns out that you are indeed the guy.
But the question for Tennessee though is, while I like the pick, I guess, for Will, uh, you just took a guy last year to, in
Nothing wrong with
Malik
that.
Wills.
But
Nothing
he
wrong
got
with
it.
that.
But he got a
Arizona did
chance
it.
and didn't. Yeah, and he
Josh
got a chance.
Rosen,
But he
Kyler.
got it. But Will's got a chance and didn't look good. So he
Yeah, I
got a
know.
shot, and then they ended up going with their third stringer. So I'm not
And,
mad at
and
them.
also too, it seems that part of the thing now, um, eh, um, is it seems like teams, especially on quarterbacks, aren't like taking flyers on guys. It seems like these certain group of players come into the draft with all the hype around them, and people like Mel Kiper and Jeremy Schaff and those type of draft prognosticators and stuff. Oh, you got it. You can't miss with this guy. You got to take this guy. You got to take this guy. And they get that hype built up around them, and teams feel like, man, this guy's available. We got to go get him because somebody else may, and we need a quarterback. Whereas back in the day, it seemed like teams trusted their evaluations to say, this guy ain't it, and the example I always love to use, and EJ will totally know this, is Ken Dorsey, right? The Buffalo Bills offensive coordinator when he was the Miami Hurricanes quarterback. This dude won a national championship. The following year was a Heisman Trophy candidate and went to the national championship, but they lost. And everybody thought he was going to be the guy, and he didn't get drafted to the seventh round. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And it seems like teams are like, yo, yeah, we looked at him, but yeah, I'm gonna pass. Whereas now it seems like they ESPN says he's the guy, You got to go get Malik Willis, and in Tennessee, like, we got to go get this guy, and he's not the guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I just think it's crazy because while I think the kid Levis was good out of Kentucky, he's an older guy. I felt like he was pro ready. I said it, I seen it, but it's still a different league, and you still got to coach this guy. And it's
Mhm.
like if you couldn't do what you wanted to do with the guy last year, how do you know that you're gonna have any success with this kid? And you took him so high, what I mean, where you could have maybe filled other needs in that position. I just don't know how it's going to pan out for them. I just don't think they know what they're doing in Indy right now.
I almost feel like I
I
almost
mean, in
well,
Tennessee, rather.
in
Sorry.
Tennessee, but I almost feel like they had to take him. Like this is a guy, and I know you guys talked about it, but this is a guy that people are saying is top talent at the quarterback position, right? And we don't have a solution today. Lamar went ahead and got signed right before draft. Maybe they were banking on, all right, no one else is going to do it, so we're going to go ahead and just give up the farm, and we can get this guy, then we can use our first round pick on getting him some weapons or whatever, right? Maybe that's what they were thinking. Um, Lamar gets signed, and now it's like, all right, well, we didn't get our top guys, they didn't drop to us, but here we are in the second round, and we have an opportunity to get a guy that people think was a top guy or definitely a first rounder. Fuck it, let's take a shot. Let's take a flyer on it. I mean, what's the worst that can happen? He doesn't work out, and we're in the same situation that we're in today.
But I
So
mean, I think that is the worst that could happen. You went high pick on a kid last year that you're completely bailing out on. Like I get it. I mean, we did the same thing, and this is why I said with Joe Douglas getting Aaron Rodgers, that was the play all along. Because as a GM, he has to protect his pick. He's the one that went and got Zach Wilson and thought he was the guy. Okay, maybe we did rush him out there. Well, now you got a guy that he can sit behind, that Aaron Rodgers gets all this flack for not mentoring Jordan Love, but again, they gave a first round pick for a kid that no one else was going to do it. You didn't get him any weapons, so of course he can have been salty in that position. but Zach Wilson grew up loving Aaron Rodgers. They got a good relationship. This works to salvage Joe Douglas's pick. In Tennessee, you wasted a first round pick on a kid last year, and now you basically just telling them next year, hey, we don't believe in you. We're not going to work with you. And so to your fan base, they got to be scratching their head to say, okay, we get it. He may not have been the guy, but what are you going to do to make sure that this kid coming in is any better? They haven't provided him any resources to get better. There's nothing
So
down there.
so I definitely hear what you're saying, EJ, and my only pushback to what you're saying will be or is that you have to also remember that the Titans fired their GM last year and they hired a new GM, Rand Carthon, right?
Hmm.
Carthon, or however you say his name. And black dude, not a lot of black GMs in the league. So, and the GM is tied to the head coach and tied to the quarterback, basically. You know what I mean? That's how they're gonna survive as a GM. And while he didn't get rid of Averill when he came in, he's probably thinking we need to get somebody in here because what I've seen from this guy, he ain't it. And if I'm
Yeah.
gonna survive this 3-4 year contract, whatever it is that he got, you know, I gotta try to build this team to make it, not necessarily a champion, but at least make it a winner. So the owner wants to retain me. You know what I mean? And so
Mhm.
that's probably, and you usually see that when you get a new GM. The GM usually comes in and fires somebody. They're either gonna fire the coach or the quarterback. You
Mhm.
know
No,
what
I,
I
I I get that piece, but I mean, just still sensibly, they had the top second round pick, which was damn near a first.
mean?
To me, you go fill other holes. And then all of this Derrick Henry trade talk, that was the time to make the move, the draft. They didn't do anything with that. The receiver core, I hope Traylon Burks winds up being good because I think he can be. But what else do they have in Tennessee? I mean,
Yeah.
it's nothing down
I
there.
think
I
I
don't
think
I
the
don't know.
problem for Derrick Henry is that one, I'm pretty sure they want a first round pick, and it's not like Derrick Henry's not worth a first round pick,
He isn't.
but
He's a
the
running back.
teams receiving him are like, yo, he's a running back. That's one. So we
Dime
already
a
don't want to give
dozen.
a first round pick to begin with. But
Dime a
then
dozen.
two, he wants a new contract, and so we got to give him a first round pick
Mhm.
and pay him.
And a
Like
contract, right?
no, you know what I mean? And I think that's where the sticking point is coming in at is that any team that's willing to play ball with them don't want to give up a first and have to pay Derrick Henry at the same time. Now,
Yeah.
if you're a team that's like ready made, you're one, like the Chiefs, for example. The Chiefs got a riches of picks that they got from us from the Tyreek Hill, the Tyreek Hill trade, right? They may say, you know what, we just won a Super Bowl. Fuck it, let's try to go back to back. We'll give him first, bring this guy in, give him some money, and then try to repeat. You know what I mean? We got Mahomes. Mahomes gave us a team friendly deal, so we're flexible. But for most other teams, like doing that for Derrick Henry is just it's not worth
Yeah.
the
And
juice
that's
not worth
why
the squeeze.
I'm saying I don't see what they're doing there because to me, if I'm the new GM, I'm moving him for a second or whatever, a second or a third. I mean, probably not a third, but at least a second for sure,
Hmm.
because you got to deal with the money issue. And again, he's a running back. He's gonna hit that wall where good old father time or the injury comes in. Get him off your hands and go make some moves. I don't think they're doing anything to set themselves up to be better down there. I just don't. And
Yeah.
Indy got a little bit better this draft, and then you already got Jacksonville that's doing their thing. So I just think Tennessee's going to continue to fall out the bottom because
Hmm.
you still got Tannehill at quarterback.
Yeah, man, I was literally waiting for you to finish talking.
you still
I was
after
telling.
all of that, you still got Tannehill. So you're telling the current starter, the veteran, the guy that has the locker room, that has your guys' trust, you're telling him you don't think he could get it done last year. And then you're also saying, well, the guy that we thought that we could get it done outside of you, we don't think he's the guy this year. So we're gonna get
Hmm.
another one. It just looks stupid to me. This looks dumb.
Yeah, I get you.
Yeah.
Mm.
I don't know. I think it's a good pick. Could they have gone another route? Absolutely. I don't know that Tannehill's going to be there. I think Tannehill might end up getting cut if this guy looks anywhere, serviceable. Um, you cut Tannehill, you trade Derrick Henry, you rebuild a little bit. Their division is absolute trash. It's garbage, right? Houston's trash. They got better in the draft. Indy is absolute garbage. Jacksonville is the front runner for that division, but they're still not like a freaking killer of a team. They're better with Ridley. So if I'm Tennessee, I take a shot, and if it doesn't work out, I always have next season. I make some moves. Maybe I move Derrick Henry some point this season, situate myself for next year's draft. Get some pieces to put around this young kid. Maybe some defensive pieces, offensive pieces. And I'm still only 1 year removed from a horrible division that only gets but so much better. It's not like they're in a division with the Eagles or in the AFC East where you got teams that are ready made and they're miles behind them. So they got work to do, but we'll see. We'll see. Um Man, this was a sports cast. You guys been watching anything
Yeah.
before we close out?
And on Tannehill, real quick.
Here he goes.
Um, no, they got a potential out on him this year, based on his contract. So, if they wanted to cut him or release him or whatever, like this is the time to do it. Looking at the contract, but you know,
And I just still feel like it was stupid. Like, why didn't they market to move this guy, try to trade him to someone desperate, maybe Washington, something? I just don't see what they're doing. I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. But watching anything new? No, I've continued to watch Power. The Yellow Jackets is into season 2. Honestly, season 1 started off strong, guys. I wouldn't recommend you watching it. It just, I don't know where it's going. I'm watching it now because I'm invested. But yeah, I don't recommend it. But I haven't watched anything else that was new other than that.
That was a
for me,
that was a consensus I got on Yellow Jackets. Yeah, DP.
um, for me, I watched the series that Steve recommended, Beef. I liked it. It was okay. It kind of takes a turn, and I think that's what made it just okay for me. Is like
It
the
got
turn
two
that it takes.
OD, right?
Right. Yeah. So like overall, it was okay, but like that turn, just I think it could have been like great, and then it went to just from great to
Yep,
okay because of how
I
hard
know.
they took that turn. Um, I also watched it's an old miniseries, John Adams, on HBO. Check that out, the historical miniseries. And I watched Toy Story 4. I hadn't seen that yet for some reason. I don't know how I
All right.
missed it, but I mean,
With
I
the
knew it was
fork
out
with
there, but I
Forky?
just never saw it. So
With Forky?
watched, yeah, watched that
Okay.
on Disney Plus. And then
Sporky.
yesterday I watched Captain America, the first one, the first Avenger or whatever.
Mm.
I've seen all of the MCU movies except for the first Captain America and the first Ant-Man. And so, I was just sitting around and had nothing to do, so I put it on and watched it.
Well, EJ says that's the best Marvel movie. So do you think that?
No, 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 no. That's not what I said. I said that Captain America has the best trilogy in the Marvel movies from the first, second, and the third one. I think his movies are the best ones all overall as a
The,
series
the
because Iron Man was 2 and 3 was
Yeah, they got
3 was
off.
horrible. 3 was horrible.
oh yeah, 3 was terrible.
So,
I thought it was okay. Two things I didn't like in the first Captain America. One, the CGI on to make Chris Evans small. That shit was terrible. Like you could tell, like watching the Marvel films, like as they progress, you can see the VFX department definitely got an upgrade. Um, um, and then I also didn't like the Agent Carter and Captain America romance. In the first movie, it seems forced because there's nothing really there to show like what this big great attraction was. They basically have the one car ride in the beginning when he's still small and he says he doesn't know how to talk to girls. Then you have another car ride where he's talking about not knowing how to talk to girls. And like that's kind of like it. And then she sees him kissing the chick and she gets mad or whatever. Like that, but by the time you get to the end, they're like tragically in love with each other. And like nothing in the movie showed me that the connection should have been that deep. You know what I mean? So
yeah, they
I
kind of
didn't like
fast
that.
forwarded for time, I think.
Yeah,
And they kind of just relied on you knowing the historical importance between the two. So I
yeah,
mean, yeah, and I mean this was early on in the MCU's plot of film. So I mean, it was, yeah, I get that, but I
yeah,
think overall his trilogy, when you're talking about that being an origin film and how it set the tone for everything to come, I think his three films were ultimately the best that have been thus far, outside of maybe where Black Panther is trending for me right now. But yeah, I Winter Soldier and just
They
yeah.
were boring to me, man. I like
Yeah.
Captain America's movies, but they were just boring to me. I like
And
go ahead.
I was just gonna say, and then with Bucky, like if I had a third thing to gripe about, like the whole like how big their friendship is, I wish we could have got like maybe like 8-10 minute screen time in the beginning, showing them like as kids, like kind of growing up, like always like being each other, like ride or die, to show like how they've been lifelong friends, versus like you just start off with them being like these great friends, which is, and then because like I said, I didn't see the first one, so by the time we get
It's Winter
to Winter
Soldier.
Soldier and Civil War and all that stuff, like I'm not really understanding like why Bucky is like that important to him. And even in the
Mm-hmm.
first one, I feel like that's not really like nailed home. And they just kind of like, to your point with Agent Carter, they kind of expected you to know that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited about Guardians of the Galaxy. I love those movies for some reason. I know you guys don't like the second one, but I liked it.
Yeah, I didn't like the second one.
I liked it,
Yeah, they
and I'm
James
like
Gunn,
I'm sure I'm gonna like the third one.
they swung, they struck gold with these guys, man, because they
Yeah,
weren't even supposed to be
Nobody knew
billed
who
that
they were.
great.
Yeah, nobody knew who they were. They got a good cast, is what it was, man. They knocked that cast out of the park. Chris Pratt just does amazing work for them. Like the dude is comedic gold. Like, and it's crazy because when he came off of damn it, what
Parks
was
and
the show?
Recreation.
Parks and Rec. I didn't think he was that funny on Parks and Rec. I think he had his moments, but I didn't think he was like as good as he is in this. So they this is just his role. This is the right role for him, I think. But otherwise, what I've been watching, I've been catching up on Bel Air. I'm almost caught up.
Ah,
Carlton
I gotta watch this
Carlton beating
episode.
up. Did you see Carlton beat up the dude?
Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
boy.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Ooh, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
Carlton put the fisticuffs on him, yo.
Yeah, Merry Christmas. He went to work. Um, that was
Word.
yeah, yeah. So I caught up on that. Damn, I watched something else too recently that I was gonna bring up to you guys, and I forget what it is. I always do that. I thought I actually made note of it, but it's okay. I'll completely forget. But that's what I've been catching up on. Obviously, my guilty pleasures. The challenge. That's always going to be a thing for me, and that's really it. Oh, I fell asleep on Creed, so I got to go back to it, and I hope
It
I
was
don't fall
decent.
asleep this time. I don't
I
know if
Oh,
I
you
watched
fell
it.
should.
It was
asleep.
decent.
Yeah, I don't know if I fell asleep because I'm old or because it was just a little slow for me. But I'll check it out
I
again.
thought it was very
You
quick to the
mentioned,
point, actually.
yeah,
So you
you
probably
mentioned
just
in
were
chat,
tired.
Steve, that you started Succession. Is that what you're talking about? For the one
Oh,
you
I did.
forgot?
Oh, yeah, yeah. I did watch a couple of Succession episodes. So I'll be watching that VP, and I hope you remember it because I'll be bringing that shit up throughout the days to come.
Yeah,
Man, Power is Power just took a turn this week that, and I don't know. I'm again watching that show simply for investment, because it's just out of control.
yeah,
It's just unreal. It's terrible. It's
yeah.
off the rails.
Um, Real quick, did y'all see the preview for the new Hunger Games prequel?
No, I didn't.
Man, that shit looks fire. Like I read the Hunger Games book. I saw the first two movies, and then I
Hmm.
read all three books before the third movie came out, and then I hated I
Third
hated the
one.
third book, and the movie was even worse.
Hmm.
Um, but the prequel, I haven't seen any of the books or anything like that that it's based on, but the trailer looks fire, man. Oh my goodness, yo.
I gotta
So I
look at it.
definitely want to see that.
I gotta look at it.
Um, Let me ask you a question. You know what? Maybe we'll save it for next week. I want to talk about polygamy. Polygamy is trending, and it seems to be trending in our culture. So come
In
back
the
next week if
black
you want to hear us
community.
talk about this. Yeah, yeah. I've been
Mm,
seeing it pop up a lot more, and I
yeah.
wanted to get you guys' take on it. But
Real
at
simple
this
for me.
mark, I don't
Real
know if
simple for
people.
me.
Yeah, well, I know
One headache
everything.
is enough.
Well, hmm. Um, we're gonna kick off next week with polygamy, nice and early, so we're not waiting for people to, we don't got to kidnap people for 2 hours for them to hear it. That's it, man. That's it. Today's game, Knicks and Heat. Who you got?
Kicking off now.
Kicking off now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. For this game, who you got?
I'm going with the Knicks. I mean, we know who we got.
You guys going homers?
Yeah.
You guys going
I'm
homers?
going with the Miami Heat, man.
Yeah, we
All
know who
right,
we got.
Jimmy
all
want
right.
the smoke. Stephen A. said him and Jimmy are friends off the court. He says, Jimmy has told him he wants to come to the Garden and stomp a mud hole in him. So,
Yeah, we
you
gonna
know,
see. It hasn't worked out this season thus far, but we'll see.
Okay.
hey,
I can't.
Tibbs know Jimmy. Tibbs know he coached him in Minnesota and coached him in
Oh, that's
Chicago.
true.
So,
I can't. I can't wait to
to
watch
y'all
this.
point about Mike Brown.
I can't. I can't wait
Yeah,
to
that would
watch
only
this.
work if Tibbs was a good coach.
Oh, right. Right. That's crazy. You're gonna have two teams with two bad coaches going at it in this series. It's gonna be crazy.
Oh,
I can't wait to watch this heated classic rivalry unfold. Starting today. One name we
Starting now.
forgot. Yeah, one name we forgot that I think is gonna be a big play or big piece to the series is Josh Hart. Today's game I got the Knicks, and in the series right now I'm not absolutely sure. I think I picked the Knicks, but I'm still kind of okay. I think the Heat's injuries are going to hurt him. With that, so you guys don't miss too much of the game, I'm going to hand it over to VP to take us up out of here.
Hey, everybody, we definitely appreciate you guys for rocking with us for this week's sports heavy episode of the Cast-Worthy podcast. For those who took the time to listen live, we definitely appreciate you taking that time out of your Sunday morning. For those who listen once the episode posts, we definitely appreciate that time as well. Like Steve said earlier, you can find the podcast on all podcasting platforms by searching at Castworthy on Instagram. Oh, I'm sorry. On social media, you can also find us by searching at Castworthy. On Instagram, it's at Castworthy_podcast. While you're there, leave a like, subscribe, share, follow, tell a friend, help us grow the audience. We very much would appreciate it. And as always, man, like I've been saying, make that phone call, send that text message, reach out to somebody, let them know you're thinking about them. And just real quick, I've been guilty of not doing that, right? I had a friend who recently lost somebody, and we haven't been in close contact. And now I'm trying to link up with him just to let him know I'm here for him or whatever, because you never know. Tomorrow's never promised, man. So reach out to somebody, make that phone call, let them know you're thinking about them. Both of y'all will appreciate it. If you got a problem with it, let that shit go. So I'm
Especially
pretty
if
sure
you're
they
going to miss a pod, just make sure you reach out.
right. It and lastly, my man EJ was at a wedding last weekend, whenever pictures posted, I don't know. But congratulations to the couple, and shout out to them. And shout out to Judy. Appreciate you for supporting TJ and always supporting the pod. And we will see you guys next week with another fresh episode of the Cast Worthy podcast. We out. We love you. Peace.